talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In your favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for the first official feedback show of season 50 of Saturday Night Live. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. Very excited to be with you on this SNL off week, the first off week of season 50, to talk about whatever you want to talk about tonight. I'm very pumped to be doing that as a presentation of LateNighter.com and with an excellent co-pilot for this podcast. TJ Randolph is here. TJ, how are you?
John, I'm feeling good. I'm very glad to be here as always. I love doing this podcast. I'm not actively podcasting on my own right now, but I'm still coming back to do this because I just love talking SNL. But if I'm being honest, I'm glad to be here, but I'm sad because it's an off week. I don't know about you, man. I know it's work consistently because I'm not on the show every week, but it's just something so just delightful knowing I have SNL at the end of the week. And when they announced the 5 shows, I just didn't even look at the dates. I thought Mulaney was this past week, so I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like it's a 5th week. So I was excited, and I realized I just had my dates wrong, and I was realized it was going to be what is it? I think this Saturday, pre-election, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to rush home for my Halloween party to like watch it. But I just these 4 weeks, just having the show to look forward to at the end of the week is just nice. It just takes me back to COVID when it just was just delightful, you know.
Well, first, yeah, some parts, but you know,
hey, let's talk about it. Some people did well in COVID, and we don't want to talk about it. Like, it was rough. Like, we had family members that died. It sucked. Like, that was me. But like, some people were thriving. Like, do you know what it was like driving on the road with no traffic during the pandemic, John? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Remember the no traffic roads?
There were a few benefits, but let's put a pin in that for now.
Do you want to endorse the pandemic, John? Does it have your endorsement? No.
Oh, this is why I love having you on, because the show goes off the rails 2 minutes into it, which is if you couldn't tell already, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. That's what these feedback shows are all about. In case it's the first time checking one of them out, this is like the chillest, most fun podcast that we do here, because we really hand the show off to the listeners every week. You know, whether it's me or Mike, you know, as hosts of our shows, we're busy preparing, getting ready to, talk about all of the specific SNL topics that we think are super important to get into. But we obviously leave a lot on the cutting room floor because we don't want the podcast to be hours and hours. So, you know, this is the time where you as listeners can ask us any questions you want about the previous episode cycle. And then we look forward to the next episode cycle. So the way that we do that is that the day of these feedback shows, which is usually the first off week Monday, we post a poll on Twitter, X, and Instagram stories, and we ask you for your questions. We got a ton of questions in today, so I'm very excited about that. And then TJ, we're going to have so many friends that are going to join us throughout the show tonight, because our biggest supporters of the SNN, our patrons, will be coming on into the show. About every 15 minutes, we'll bring on 1 or 2 more people who will come and join the party, and we'll ask them some questions. We'll get their thoughts and opinions about the show, so you get to hear a variety of voices. And if that interests you at home and you're like, hey, I want to talk some SNL with, you know, some of the SNN people, feel free to join us. Patreon.com/the SNL Network. That's the best way to do it. We put out a form and you register. So thanks to all of the patrons who signed up for the show tonight, and we'll be bringing them in on soon. But to kick things off here, TJ, I'm going to ask you, we are now 4 episodes in to season 50. How are you feeling about the season so far?
I'll answer that question, but then after that, I do have a question for you, John, related to just the show. I'm feeling, I think I just kind of touched on it earlier. Like, I'm feeling very joyous. I'm just glad to have SNL back in my life. I'm a very happy person. Things are going. I'm having a decent time in life right now, but just with SNL, it's just a little bit better. I feel like it just makes life a little bit better. I have something funny to reflect on, things to share with my friends. With this season, I'll be honest, that Gene Smart episode, I was really looking forward to being proven wrong, and I think it was on a hot take show. But like, reflecting back on it, that was just a really, man, what is with SNL and season openers? But I think since then, with Bargatze, was such like an incredible high. And I think Ariana did a great job. I think Keaton, he had me cracking up. I think these past 3 episodes were at a minimum solid. Like at a minimum, you're gonna watch this. You're gonna at least find a few things that you're gonna have a good time with. I think that it was interesting that they chose to go with the stunt casting, and they tried to. It felt a little forced having everyone there back each cold open. Aside from Kamala, aside from Maya, but honestly, I think this season has put me in a very feel good state so far. But I think that's also because for the first time in 8 years, I have hope, not a white liberal level of hope where it's like, oh my God, we're gonna have our first female president. Like, I still think like Donald Trump like very likely will still win. However, like Kamala gives me like
heard it here first.
I don't know. It's just it's such an easy villain origin story. Like it's such an easy tale. But
I mean, let's not do the whole like election breakdown. But can I just touch on a couple of points that you said because I want to just jump in. So, first of all, SNL premieres tend to suck in modern history. And it's no fault of like anyone in particular. It's just that my understanding is just like so hard. Like the best episodes of SNL are like truly when they are in the grind of the season. And I think like that kickstart after the summer, there's so much rust to burn off that we often end up going to the lowest common denominator of like, let's talk about the storylines from the summer. So I think that's part of the problem there. In addition, Gene Smart was sick, and I don't think that helped that episode.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
So like, that was to be expected. But I will say, for me, to your point, TJ, I think season 50 has been a really fun ride for me because I actually think it started stronger than 49, 48, or even 47, 46. Like I think this is one of the strongest starts to a season that we've had in a while. Bargatze to me was a very great episode.
It was honestly, it was near perfect. It's near.
Yeah, it was a great. To me, I gave it like an 8 out of 10. To me, I would put that up like top 28 percentile in the history of the show. Like it was a great episode.
For sure.
Ariana Grande could be our best host this season. The writing was okay, and she elevated everything that she was in. So for me, like I think that was a very good episode. Keaton to me was serviceable, and Gene Smart was bad. So I'll take that over the first four that we got over the last few seasons. Yeah.
We could argue about it, but I wanted to say the other through line I'm seeing in this season, I don't know if I've heard anyone touch on the podcast when I've been listening in, is I feel like, and this might be, I think this is a little bit of a stretch, but it does feel like with each episode, with like Dana coming in the first episode, with Michael Keaton hosting, it feels like, or with Michael Keaton hosting in the fourth one, with Andy having a Lonely Island piece in the second one, it feels like each episode has at least one nugget that correlates to some form of SNL past. But I know that feels like a reach. Like if you have
that could be
Dana Carvey, like all-time previous cast member. Like there's just something, I can't remember what they did in the Ariana show, but that felt like there was something in each episode, just one nugget of like, let's think about like how this person or this bit or something correlates to the past. I need to see more episodes before I think that's a real through line, but I just thought it was something a little interesting because like having Dana, then Lonely Island, having Keaton, I can't remember what was in the Ariana episode, but there was something that there was a callback, but I think this may be a bit of a stretch, but I don't know.
And I think that's a great theme to watch out for with season 50, but I want to bring a couple of patrons into the conversation. So let's bring two friends in that are going to join us. We're going to talk to them, hear their thoughts on season 50, and then we'll get to answering some questions. So joining us for the first time, I believe, on the podcast is Mitch Brown. So let's bring in Mitch. Mitch, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
No, this is great. Thank you for being here. Oh, sorry.
Great
John.
to meet you, Mitch. So happy to have you. Yeah.
I love the podcast and love what you guys have been doing.
Can I say something, John?
Thank you. Well, let me just bring in one more patron because we got somebody else who's coming in for this section of the podcast. So let's bring in our friend Fred Akansu is here. Fred, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Hello, Fred. Great to have you on.
Good to see you again. Hey, Mitch. Hey, John.
Yeah, we got the glasses guys coming into the show here.
That's right. We planned it.
Yeah. So TJ, you wanted to ask something? Yeah.
I do want to ask that, but also Fred, I like your frames, by the way.
Thank you so
Mitch,
much.
you also have serviceable frames. These are sorry. No, actually, I'm really glad to be able to meet you guys. I wanted to say, John, I think this is maybe the third time I've maybe done like a patron related show, or maybe like the interview like style show that we've done before. And I think it's a good format. I really enjoy doing it. I'm going to say I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Have we ever also? Mitch, Fred, Mitch, I think you said you just started listening to the show this season. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been listening almost a year probably, but
Almost a year?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is like the SNN now has like little nuggets of like history and lore. Honestly, it's part of the fun. There's an episode we did in 2023, I think, where we did a Valentine's Day episode, and we had like oh yeah, do you see the John cringe for just a moment? There's a Valentine's Day episode where we they brought like me, Rebecca North, and a couple other people, and it was just like not SNL related at all. It was all like love questions. It was like, let's play the dating game. It was crazy. It was really fun.
There were SNL questions. I think there was like, which SNL sketch do you play in the bedroom?
Oh, to get somebody in the mood. I just want to say this. If there's ever an episode of a Patron feedback show where like the listeners want to like ask us just like a regular question, like, I don't know, we should maybe put that on the table.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys can ask us anything. That's the fun of this. Okay,
it doesn't have to be SNL related.
TJ, we're gonna hear from you all night. So I want to hear from Mitch and I want to hear from Fred. And I want to get their thoughts on the season. Mitch, I'll start with you because we've never heard from you on the podcast before, I believe. So just first of all, where are you from? Thank you for listening to the show. And how are you enjoying season 50?
I'm from LA. I'm currently in LA. I'm enjoying the show. I've been listening for coming up on a year, and love what you guys have been doing. And season 50, I've enjoyed it. It's been good. It's been I feel like it's a little maybe more consistent than last season in terms of like the quality. I feel like I'm excited because I feel like with each episode there's like an energy because it's like season 50. So it's like, what are we going to get? Who's going to show up in this one? So that's really excited. I'm very excited to watch each week. And it feels like we're still kind of in this like appetizer phase of the season where, you know, it still feels early. So, and it feels like I'm excited to see what the show is after kind of the election and all that. But I've been enjoying certainly, you know, Dana obviously coming back. That's been just a sheer delight as well. I mean, Maya, of course, and then even, you know, I mean, obviously Andy. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. I don't know that it's reached the peak of what it can, but or where it could reach, but I have been enjoying the season so far.
Yeah, I like how you broke that down because we will evaluate the season as we go. But when we get to the end of it, we may look at this portion of the season as its own thing. So this could be the appetizer before we get to this, you know, post-election main course and see how the quality of the season is then. Fred, my brother, I'm so happy to get to hear from you again another season. So welcome back to the show. How are you feeling about season 50?
So I'm really enjoying it. I will say I have this problem sometimes where I have to like take a moment and like manage my own expectations. Like it's not just because it's 50 that suddenly they haven't been trying their best for 49 years and like everything has to be like right, like 10 out of 10. That being said, I still have enjoyed like every episode. I like leave every episode like super jazzed, super excited, but you know, I think there have been certain elements that have like really elevated certain things, and then sometimes it's just been like a classic SNL episode. Like I do think like the Lonely Island, like that's crazy. That was crazy for me. Or like all like the guest appearances was like a great start to the season. Like I was like jumping out of my seat. But then, you know, to your point, if you see this, if you know you're going to see the same guest appearances every week, then that kind of like fades away. But it's been also like, I think we've already spoken about this, but also just there have been like a decent amount of like throwbacks also, whether it's like because of the hosts, because of the musical guests, or even it's escaping me now, but like even like sketch formats that have been kind of throwbacks, like Family Feud, for example. So like those little nuggets, whether it's intentional or not, have been enjoyable.
Yeah, those are some great points. I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about from the season so far. There's so many storylines. So I do want to center the conversation a little bit with the two of you by getting into some of the questions. We have this like huge question bag that we're going to dive into tonight. So we'll take the first one from our friend Ken, who's always joins us in the chat. And it's always great to hear from Ken, who says, what has surprised you the most so far this season in a positive or negative way? Any big surprises? So we all came in speculating about what the season could look like. It's going to be 1 million alumni. There's going to be all these, you know, but we have some data points now to look back at. So Fred, for you, any big surprises so far this season, positive or negative?
Yeah, so I was really surprised, like pleasantly surprised that they got Dana Carvey. I feel like with his podcast and like he keeps coming up on this show that like where are we gonna get him? And I didn't expect to get him this much. So like that's been very pleasant. I was really surprised with again like the Lonely Island coming back. Uh and also just now I think with certain casts being featured or versus repertory, like also just seeing how well they've been integrating all like the new cast members and like how much like more like Longfellow we're finally getting, things like that. Those all have been good surprises.
Mitch, what about you? Any surprises, positive or negative, that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think for me, I was really surprised to see Jim Gaffigan as Tim Walz. Really, just because I was kind of expecting it to be sort of an SNL alum, or somebody maybe a little bit more closely associated with the show. I know like there was like talks of Steve Martin coming in to play that, and so yeah, I think maybe Jim Gaffigan was on SNL like once in the '90s or something. So it was kind of a surprise to see him there, but I think he's crushing it, and I think he's perfect for the role. So that was like that was, I think, probably for me the biggest kind of surprise, but certainly a pleasant surprise, definitely.
TJ, what about you?
A couple things. I'd say I was surprised that the Bargatze episode is near perfect. I'm not saying it's one of my favorites, but it's like as near perfect of an episode. But I think it also appeals heavily to like millennials because of the Lonely Island. Like that just put it through the stratosphere. But I would say for me, surprising was I did not know Ariana Grande could. I knew she could do musical impressions. I did not know she could do that many other just like baseline. I had no clue that Celine Dion impression. I'm still thinking about it, and it's been 2 weeks. And as for negative, I was, I had something funny teed up.
Well,
I did. I had something, but I lost it. Yeah, I'll go with Ariana in impressions. I lost it.
okay, so that's going. My biggest surprise by far has been the lack of Marcelo Hernandez in season 50. I feel like everything was like leading up to him being the star of the show. And how you know that, because obviously, and we're going to talk about the sketch later on because we got a bunch of questions about it, but the Domingo sketch that's gone viral, like everyone's like, oh, I love Marcelo. I love his role in it. And he's only been in, he's been in 8 sketches in 4 episodes. So that's an average of 2 moments in the night where you have seen him per episode. Obviously, he's had some stuff cut, like the Menendez brothers that came online, but like the stuff that's actually made the episode, few and far between. So I'm really surprised how, like, when we were talking in the preseason about the stars that we may see, the Bowens and Eggos and JJ and all that stuff, like I thought he was going to be very much part of the mix. And so far, it's been a quiet start to season 50, in my opinion, for Marcelo. Fred, how do you feel about his season so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great point. And I think, again, this is kind of an issue with like the cast being so big. Like, I think also like we weren't seeing a lot of Sarah Sherman, and then she suddenly had like this incredible episode, the last episode. So, yeah, I am surprised though, just like SNL being SNL, that they're not, I mean, I guess it shows that it's a true meritocracy and anything can be cut. But yeah, it just seems like in like social media as well, Marcelo seems to be super popular.
Yeah, it's interesting to me in terms of quantity. I think there's lower, but the quality's been there. Like, I think he's been on some really good stuff in the limited roles that we've seen him so far. So I don't mean as far as like, eye-popping moments. He's not a very much a part of the start of the season,
Right.
but I figured like every episode was going to be Marcelo heavy.
Yeah.
Mitch, any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think kind of to echo what Fred said, like, yeah, I think it is a problem when you have like a cast that big and it's hard to fit everybody in. And because, yeah, he's kind of been sort of a star like outside of the show. I mean, he's been featured in certain publications and whatnot, kind of more so than I think some of the other cast members that are about his level at the show. And so, yeah, I also am a little surprised at kind of his lack of screen time, but agreed. He does, every time he's on, he's great. But I do wish, like, I feel like Bowen, who obviously is always great, but he's, somebody who gets a lot of screen time. And I kind of wish they would spread that out a little more throughout the cast that they have.
Yeah, and that's interesting. If you follow the trajectory of Bowen's like first 4 weeks this season, in that he was clearly the star of episode 1. And then in episode 2, where we weren't sure if he was going to vibe with the Nate Bargatze episode and that was going to be like an episode for him to star in. He actually was. Like, he was very much a part of those 2 episodes. And then I expected, okay, maybe we're looking at season 50 being Bowen Yang's season, but he was somewhat more limited than expected in Ariana Grande, and he was barely in the Michael Keaton episode. So I almost don't know what to make of that. It feels like there's always just like, somehow he just like always peaks and then goes and then just fizzles a little bit. And it's a very weird, like I don't know if there's a great comparison in SNL history to Bowen Yang's arc as far as his screen time on the show. TJ, for you, anything on Marcelo or Bowen or any of those surprises that you've seen from some of the cast members?
Maybe this is because I just finally saw the Saturday Night Movie over the weekend, and I there's a great scene in there, spoilers, where Lauren like looks at the schedule and just like tosses down, like he looks at the schedule, tosses all the cards on the ground, and it's just like, all right, and then like they started put the show back together. And it's like, obviously that may not be how it is every week. There may not be that much chaos, but like, obviously there's a lot of show that they do. And Fred, you make a great point. It's a big cast. Sometimes it gets a little like annoying, like how big a cast can feel. I haven't felt it as much recently versus where we were a few years ago. But I think you guys are forgetting something. Some actors would be glad to be getting 2 sketches like an episode. That he's consistently in the show. Like, at least, I'm not saying that's a good place to be, but it is still a consistency. And I would think, like, I feel like Marcelo has had at least 3, 4, if you count the Menendez brothers, 4 roles in the past 4 episodes where, like, I remember what Marcelo was doing. He was the guy from I Love Lucy, like the husband. I think about that. He was the Domingo guy. And then there was that sketch that, oh, God. Oh, the Sábado Gigante, which I don't know why nobody referenced that. Like, there's a Family Guy reference to, like, that. That's the reason why I know what Sábado Gigante is because there's a Family Guy joke about it. But like, I think you're forgetting, like, those are 3 like presences that he kind of like had. And you know, there are people who've been shut out. Ashley Padilla like had an episode where like she was like completely shut out. I don't think it's as bad as it could look like, because are we all forgetting how annoyed we were getting with like Kate and Beck as much as we love them? Like, I think sometimes the people we know are the stars, like our Marcelos, our Bowens. Do we really want it so badly? Fred and Mitch, I'm curious from you, but do we really want them so badly? I think do we want them to become Kate, Beck, Alec Baldwin, or do we want to appreciate when they show up? Count your blessings, fellas. That's what I'm saying. Count your blessings.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want anyone. I wouldn't want anyone to be
Fred.
overused. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want anyone to be like too overused. I think that happens sometimes, but
yeah, agreed. And I kind of, to your point, John, of like, I felt that with Bowen a little bit, especially in the beginning of the season, of like, are we getting to a point where I'm seeing him so much now that it almost feels like the sketch is more about, oh, Bowen's in the sketch as opposed to like what the actual joke or premise is. And so to that point, no, I do agree, TJ. I think there is something to be said there, but I guess I do also like, you know, I love Marcelo. Let's see him show up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, here's the thing is that, okay, the best players in SNL history have the moments like Marcelo did this season where TJ, you named off some really strong moments for him.
Absolutely.
But then they also fit really well into other people's sketches. So that is the thing that I'm a little surprised with in terms of quantity of appearances, is that I would think that, you know, is Marcelo the type of cast member that when he's on screen, the sketch has to revolve around him. And if that's the case, we're gonna only get limited stuff from him, and maybe it'll be great, and we'll walk away feeling like Marcelo was a really solid cast member. But in terms of like the all-time greats, going back to, you know, a Kate or a Will Ferrell, or, you know, they have their moments where they are the stars of their sketches, but then they'll appear in 4 other things in the night, and it won't be their sketch, but they'll add something to it in one way or another. And I just think that right now, what we're seeing, and this is what I described last year, I said season 49 was the most ensemble the show has ever been. We could be in an ensemble era where there's just no true star of the show, but everyone on the cast will have their moments, and those that do appear in other people's sketches and add to them will be the cream that rises to the top at the end of all of this. They'll be the ones that we really truly remember. So that's why I'm thinking about it that way.
Why'd you gotta say cream, bro?
Oh, come on, TJ. All right. All right.
Sorry, go ahead,
Fred, Mitch, let me go to you guys because I just want to ask you any other stray thoughts on the season while we still have you here tonight. So, Fred, I'll start with you.
So just on like your point, I think that I think maybe also maybe Marcel's just like age and like physicality maybe limits him with some of these roles that are like more like middle aged and things that like maybe like Mikey Day or Dismukes fall into. So just like a thought there that that could kind of like, as far as like the whole like being more like blending into a sketch, that can affect that.
Yeah, but I don't think we see Marcella's utility as much, do we, fellas?
No, I mean, we were last year, so I'm interested to see what they do with him this year. Mitch, for you, any other thoughts on season 50 you wanted to bring up while you're on with us tonight?
Just that I'm excited. I'm excited to see more PDD. I'm hoping that I know they've had their hands full up to this point, but I'm hoping to get more of them. And again, I as much as I have enjoyed the election season, and election season with SNL is always so much fun. I'm for multiple reasons ready for election to be over, and I'm excited to see kind of where the show where season 50 goes after that. And I'm very excited about what's to come for sure.
Yeah. Fred, any other thoughts on the season so far?
No, I agree. And I think that this was hopefully like this was an appetizer, and like we'll see after John Mulaney like heading into the holiday season, like are they really just gonna like pull all the stops? Like I do wonder like if since this is going to be like the last like true ensemble like political cold open, like maybe they're just going to really go for it.
Yeah, this will be very exciting for what's coming up this weekend. We'll talk a lot more and preview that coming up. But Fred, thank you for joining us. Always great to get to hear from you. So looking forward to talking to you in a month from now. And Mitch, how long have you been a fan of Saturday Night Live?
I mean, really, my whole life. I watched it a lot as a kid, not really understanding any of it, but being like, this is electric and it's live and I love it. And then, in college and stuff, did a bunch of improv. And so just have always kind of loved that world and comedy. So, I really found this podcast. I went and saw Nate Bargatze's dress rehearsal last year, the first time he hosted, and found this show shortly after that. So it's been great.
Okay, well, we're happy to have you here on the anniversary of that show. And
that's right. It is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even put that. That's crazy.
The timing is kind of crazy.
Wow. Oh, well, that's awesome.
Definitely. Well, happy to have you on. Appreciate you both. And so happy to have you both, Fred and Mitch, part of our community. So looking forward to chatting with you both very soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys, very much.
TJ, all right, let's bring in a couple more patrons. We got so many more questions to get into, so very excited to jump on into more stuff tonight. Let's bring in our friend Brennan Keller is here. Brennan, what's up?
Oh, I'm just sitting at home. That's the night. I had a free concert ticket, and I turned it down to say hi to you guys tonight. So very cool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What was the
very
concert?
honored.
Declan McKenna. He's a indie. He's more UK based, but he's doing a tour.
Sounds like we're the better show tonight, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Also,
hey man, UK indie is very good. Have you heard Block Party? Like,
oh yeah, they're good. I saw
one of my favorite bands.
Well, let's just bring it. Let's bring it. We got another patron with us tonight, so we'll bring in them into party, and we can talk as much UK indie as we want. So let's bring in Ian's here. Ian, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well.
All right, good. I was making sure my mic works.
Yeah, I'm just going to lower you just a touch, and then we're good to go. So great to get to speak to you. Ian, you've been doing well. Have you been enjoying season 50?
Yeah, a lot more than I was. Well, I was hoping to love it, but a lot more than I expected. Definitely loving it.
Okay. That's good. You thought it wasn't going to be so great.
I just wasn't sure what direction they were going to go with it being election season, but so far I've been happy with it. So.
Okay. And Brennan, what about you? How are you feeling 4 episodes into the season?
2 through 4 were a lot better than 1. So now I'm feeling good. So
yeah,
but
it's very classic SNL to be like the biggest season ever to have like 1 episode that people don't like. So yeah. But it's good. I'm glad they got the rest off That's true for you as well. All right, well, Ian, Brennan, you're both veterans to the show, so I'm excited to go into some of the questions for both of you. So I'll throw some out and we'll answer them from the listeners. So let's start off with this one from our friend Ajax. Ajax asks, are you surprised with the lack of former cast as hosts thus far? And do you think we will see just more cameos and bit roles? If not, who among the former cast and writers do you think may host? So no former cast members right now. We don't know who will be hosting in episodes 6 through 10 in the fall or 11 through 20 in the spring. But we do have John Mulaney, who is an alumni of sorts, coming in this weekend. Brennan, are you surprised with the lineup so far that we don't have any former cast members hosting?
Oh, I guess I guess yeah, I am, but I am also very happy that they went with returning hosts that had good episodes previously, so it was a pretty safe bet to go with that, especially if you're looking for some familiarity in the 50th anniversary season. So I'm happy with that. I would like more previous cast members as hosts, but I'm very, very pleased with the host selection this year. So
yeah, I wonder if they didn't want to use anyone up, like if they book some major star like Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell, one of them to host at the start of the season. Perhaps they don't have them for later in the season when they need them, or as much during the SNL 50 anniversary week. Ian, what are your thoughts?
I did expect at least in the first couple episodes to see like a returning cast member, but I'm also not surprised they're keeping them tucked away, like maybe holiday or finale even, or even the special. They might just be like, we're going to hold off everybody until the big February special. Like maybe no one's going to host and they're just like, bring them all back for that. I don't know. But so far, I'm also been happy with the choices. So
TJ, what do you think?
I just want to know what they're doing in there. Like, what are they doing? Like in that big tower, they got plans, fellas. I just want to know. Tell us something. They don't have to. I'd like to.
I mean, right now, while we're talking, there is a board somewhere in 30 Rock
there is
in an
a board
office
somewhere
that has the names. But we
they
don't
have a
know
security
them.
guard
So,
posted outside. It's just there's a room Lauren has a season room and then a room just for the 50th special, and it's just a security guard. One guy posted outside, and it's just a board, and Lauren just goes in there and he ponders.
yeah.
No, like I think I have some similar like feeling to Ian, where it's like just didn't know what direction they're going to go in. I was like definitely surprised that like I didn't see any cast members, because I don't know. Did anybody else feel like last season felt like they did a lot of stuff we would have wanted them to do this season in terms of host? Emma Stone, Adam Driver, Kate McKinnon, Billie Eilish. Heck, Gyllenhaal had a phenomenal episode. Like that could have been a Pedro Pascal episode. Like it felt like we got
Kristen's
a lot
five-timer.
of. I would think. Okay, I thought that was 48 for some reason, but yeah, Kristen's 5-timer wasn't. Did we get Mulaney's 5-timer too? Last season?
No, Mulaney's 5-timer was 47. Yeah.
John, it was not 47. It was not. Mulaney did not host 3 years
Mulaney's
ago.
5-timer was 47. Yeah.
Has it been?
Am I wrong? Someone back me up here.
I think you're right. It's not been 3 years since Mulaney hosted, right?
Oh, just wait for a comment.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? No,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah. But like that's besides the point. The point I want to get is I feel like I got a lot of wish fulfillment last season in terms of host, especially like Adam Driver, Emma Stone, like that, like especially those two coming back. And I felt like the show constantly loves to zig when we think it's gonna zig, but then it like zags. And so I just, why these choices? But aside from Mulaney, like yes, Stevie Nicks like was at one point in like the 80s, but like why these specific like host and musical choice pairings? I can't see the through line.
So here's my theory. I think number one is that they didn't want to. I don't know if somebody said this in the chat or not, but during the appetizer portion, as Mitch put it, during the political portion of the season, I feel like the attention is on like how do we best cover this election. So they are bringing in alumni to do that. Andy Samberg, Maya Rudolph, Dana Carvey, and that is filling our cup as far as seeing former cast members from different eras of the show. As a result, they don't need to book a former cast member. It doesn't need to be complete nostalgia there. So, Gene Smart, obviously just, coming off winning an Emmy and being like, a legend in the entertainment industry, totally makes sense. Bargatze, one of the best hosts of last season, they want to bring him back. Ariana Grande, a very close friend of the show, makes sense. And Michael Keaton, don't really get that one, but it's fine. But anyways, so to me though, I feel like this week with John Mulaney, this should have been the premiere. I think John Mulaney is like, this is the modern great SNL host. Like if he smashes this one out of the park, like he's very close to my top 10 hosts of all time. If he smashes this one again, goes 6 for 6, like I think he's a no doubt top 10 host of all time. And I feel like the stakes are like very high here in terms, because he is such a high floor that I feel like the episode this weekend could be so fantastic that we are talking about greatness here. And that's what we should be doing when we open up season 50. So for me, Brennan, I'm almost like, damn, I wish this was the premiere.
Yeah. I was going to say, we also get, Chappell Roan as the biggest person to come out of pop music in the last 6-7 months for sure. I saw her in March of this year, and that was not nearly as big of a deal as if I would have saw her in May of this year. Like 2 months, she
blew up like exponentially.
Yeah, definitely.
John, I don't think you're giving enough credit to. You know what? No, I'll let you have this. I'm gonna let you have this, John.
Okay, thanks. So in the rankings, this summer, John Mulaney was ranked by the audience at number 9. I had him at 11, and Bill also had him at 9. So he's like literally bordering top 10. I think he will be in my top 10, no doubt, if this episode is as good as it was intended to be. And I want to just pivot over to this question from Monette, who asked a relevant question here. Said, was choosing Mulaney as the first alumni host for the 50th the correct choice? Who else should have been the first for season 50? Ian, to me, I think that this is absolutely the right choice here. I can't think of another alumni that makes sense in terms of like having as a host. I'm sure that there's former cast members, if they came back in some sense, we'd be very excited about it. But just to kick off the season with an alumni, even though he wasn't a cast member, for me, this is definitely the right one. Do you agree?
Yeah, I actually do. And that surprises me because there's so many people that I would love to see, but that doesn't necessarily make them the right choice. Like, I don't think certain cast members, as much as we love them, would draw as many people in as a Mulaney would.
Oh, that's a good point.
Especially as the name he's given himself lately. And every time, I know he's not associated with the show, but every time Mulaney comes, I always wanted to bring Nick Kroll, but it never happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that may have to do with Nick Kroll. Yeah, that might have to do with Nick Kroll auditioning for SNL, not getting it, and maybe he's like a little bit not so down to be in the building. But obviously that would be something really cool to see this weekend. I wonder if we're gonna get Bill Hader this weekend. And I think like
don't do that to us, John. Don't do that.
We got to throw it out there. Could happen.
That man is sacred. Sacred. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I think it's the right time. It's been a few years. I think, I was thinking about like the cast that I fell in love with the show, and I've like been blessed with getting to see each one of them come onto the show in the last few years in one form or another. But Bill Hader is the one in the last, like that while we've been podcasting, I haven't gone to talk about on SNL, and I'm like just waiting for that moment some point this year. But Brennan, do you feel like Mulaney was the right alumni to start off season 50 with at some point?
He is the one that I would have chosen. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you look at just the last 10 years of shows and you pick a person that gets famous outside of SNL and is very well renowned for the episodes of SNL that they're on, I don't think there's a better recent host to be the SNL mix between not on the show and on the show.
I would agree. I think that there's a lot of alumni we would love to see pop up this year at some form or another. Like there was rumors about Eddie hosting the Christmas show. Sandler at some point, like returning again to host. Like these would all be really good options to see throughout the season. But I just think, just because John Mulaney is he's hosting or headlining episode 5 doesn't mean that he can't have a part in SNL 50. Whereas if, we had, let's say, Eddie Murphy hosting episode 5 or the Christmas show, I think the feeling would be that maybe we would get a reduced role from him in some sort of anniversary special. So it's just interesting to think about these things over the next few months. TJ, you agree though, Mulaney, right choice for the first alumni of the season?
Absolutely not. What are you guys talking about? And I'm saying that respectfully because you guys you're gracing us with your presence here on the show, and I really appreciate having you here. So, fellas, this any aggression is always meant strictly towards John. Okay, you guys have done nothing wrong. You guys have never done anything wrong a day in your lives ever. But what are we talking about here? Like, yes, like I get the through line that like it makes sense, but I didn't realize it'd been 2.5 years since Mulaney had hosted. Obviously, he's going to be great. Like, we love Mulaney. Like, that's like besides the point. But 2 things. 1, are we forgetting that like 3 and 4, not that good? Just like, are we forgetting there has been a diminishing return? I'll be honest, I can't.
Oh no, his last episode was so good, TJ. I won't hear any sign around.
Let me finish what I was going to say. I can't remember 5. I think Paul Rudd was there, but like it doesn't stick. 1 and 2, I remember being, oh my god, like so solid. But there was a slump. It has not been a consistent. Nate Bargatze so far is 2 for 2, but like he has a chance to go down. The reason I'm bringing that up is because for Mulaney, like it's been like up and down. He's a good pick for sure, but like who's ever like, oh yeah, the 6 times the charm? Like what are you talking about? 2, are we not going to act like in a perfect world, even though he is a massive asshole, are we not going to act like Chevy wouldn't have been maybe also like a solid pick? He's hosted with the most.
No, an absolutely horrible pick.
No.
Yeah,
no. As a community fan, while I know that man is a terrible person, as a Donald Glover fan, I know that man is a terrible person. Maybe that Saturday Night movie gave me some empathy for Chevy too.
Even
what it is.
But
let me say
Chevy was a bad SNL host.
let me get this through. With Chevy, he was in the first season. I mean, yeah, we could have done Lorraine Newman too. She's also very funny. But like, he was in the first season, and it's been 50 years. I'm not saying he would have been great, but like, there is something like respecting the history of the show, and that is actually season 50. Either that or have Kristen Wiig do it. I think she would have been the right choice. I think she would have been a better choice than Mulaney too, because I think she's also a good history of the show. But like,
Ian, you want to jump in on this?
Chevy's still around.
Yeah, I
so
do.
Like, I don't know.
And I love. Well, it's hard to say. I love Chevy's like performances, like big Christmas Vacation fan, love Community. But despite all of it, even if he wasn't notoriously like just horrible, isn't his health not even that great right now? Like,
oh, is it really?
I feel like the last few times I've seen him,
that I don't know, but regardless, like Chevy Chase, it has never really been a great SNL host in my opinion. So like,
why did they let him do it 8 times, John? 8 times
because of his history with the show, and I think
then let him host again. Like, I'm not saying it's gonna be great, but it could have been better than the season opener. No, but
there's been a lot of cast members who have. There's a lot of cast members who have been there when Chevy's hosted an episode and have walked away saying that was the worst host that they had during their tenure at the show. So
you know what that is, John? It's respecting your history. That's what it is.
All right, I won't hear any more of this. All right, Brennan, let me start with you. Everything good over at the SNL Reddit? Any other thoughts on season 50 that you want to share with us?
Oh yeah, I'll just give you some rundown, quick ones. Best weekend update feature is the Mudang feature.
According to Reddit.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's the big caveat right there. Yeah, musical guest Billie Eilish, pre-tape Sushi Glory Hole, and then golf tournament back to back, and then My Best Friend's House third. Top 3 sketches: Devil Dogs Drop, Charades, and then Washington's Dream 2. And best episode is the Nate Bargatze, only by about 7 or 8 points over the Ariana Grande episode. So that's what's going on there. Worst thing of the year so far was just Coldplay.
Yeah, that brother needed to put some shoes on. You know how many people have been on that stage? I need to clean those floors.
Yeah, hepatitis all over Coldplay.
Oh my god, put some shoes on. You're at work. Like,
Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah, it's more fun to
alright,
do a
well,
guessing game when there's 8 episodes versus 4 episodes.
Yeah,
so.
well, we'll do that. We'll
Yeah.
come on when we do the midway show for sure, and we'll do a guessing game on what Reddit thinks about the season so far. Ian, any other thoughts on season 50 for you?
I just want to say, and I know I'm not alone here. I just want to put in the universe. I'm hoping for some sort of Tim Robinson return.
oh, that'd be
Yes,
great.
please. Yes, please.
That would
yes,
be great.
please.
That would be fun.
That's a good wish. That's a good
You
wish.
know, I know we've got just Muke sometimes feels like a little touch of Robinson sometimes, but having him back around, especially with Zach Cannon, that would be a fun time.
You know, if you actually look
be
at just
pretty
he's
epic.
close enough, if you look at the little bit of light in his eyes, you can see a speck of Tim Robinson. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get him during the 50th anniversary special. I think he'll be there. He'll be in the audience. Maybe he'll do some Q&A, and everyone's gonna be like, "Tim Robinson was the best part of SNL 50" or something like that. So
I can see it,
I
yeah.
can see it. Yeah, I can definitely see it. All right, well, Ian, Brennan, thank you for coming on with us onto the show tonight. Always great to catch up with you and for another season of fun SNL talk. So I look forward to speaking to you soon on the show.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Good seeing you, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, TJ, let's keep the show rolling. We got another great patron, somebody I believe we're talking to for the first time on the show tonight,
Ooh.
and that will be Deej is here.
Hey,
Deej, how are you?
I'm doing
Oh, I love
okay.
your shirt.
Thank you. I also come with a special guest.
Wait, what is
Okay,
that?
who do we got?
This would be the Herb Welch Funko Pop.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
I love her Welsh.
I missed
Here,
Stefan one long ago.
Here, wait, show it one more time. So I got you in the big screen now. If you want to show it to the audience, there you go. Okay, very cool.
That's
Yes,
amazing.
I missed
Love
out
it.
on the Stefan one. So as soon as I saw it was available for pre-order, I snapped that puppy up.
And that's
Okay,
newly
well-
released because I think I saw the
Yes.
50 on it, right? Oh,
That
okay,
is
nice.
correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Deej, how are you? How are you enjoying season 50? And this is the first time getting to speak to you, so nice to meet you.
Yes, it's very good to be here. Yes, no, I've been enjoying the season. Yes, I agree. First episode was it was okay, but not the best. A little Bowen heavy. No, don't get me wrong. Love you some Bowen Yang, but that was just a little too much. More Longfellow is always a welcome sight. So
Yeah,
I'm
love that
glad because he did not have the best screen time last season. So I hope he continues on at least a good trajectory. So, of course, my number one was Ariana. I've seen her do her
Ariana.
Celine Dion impression on doing a Wheel of Musical Impressions on the Jimmy Fallon show, and that just gets me every time. So Keaton was okay.
Yeah,
Bargatze, perfect as well. I love the energy between him and Michael Longfellow with the water park sketch.
It was a great one. Yeah, I'm so
Solid.
happy that one got on. Deej, where are you from?
I am from New Westminster, British Columbia.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
wow,
they
nice.
say-
Canadian. Oh,
Yes, on the other side of the country, just sort of 20 minutes from Vancouver.
okay. Well, so how fun. I didn't know we were getting another Canadian tonight. This is so exciting. Okay,
Yes.
well, Deej, and how long have you been a fan of Saturday Night Live?
Well, at the ripe old age of 56, I was first old enough to stay up late to watch SNL in the Ebersol era. And back
Oh, okay.
then, my
Cool.
favorite was Gary Kroger. And I actually wrote him a fan letter, and he wrote me back.
Wait, what did he say?
It was just basically, thank you very much for your support. It was typewritten. Unfortunately, I lost it in a flood of my storage area because I had it in a photo album. But the fact that he actually wrote back is... And I know Gary has been on the SNN podcast a couple of times, so he's still my favorite, one of my favorites of that show. And I actually just finished listening
All right.
to
Well,
Dick
Deej,
Ebersol.
just remind me if.
Mm.
So I was gonna say, Deej, just remind me. Gary's a good friend. I will speak to him, and maybe we can get a replacement for that letter or something like that.
Oh,
for you.
yeah, it
we
was
can
like
arrange
just
something
one of the highlights of my young life. So yeah, and I listened to his podcast, so I'm still Gary fan for life.
Okay, we'll be in touch. I'm going to make that happen for sure. Well, Deej, let's turn back to season 50. Let's
Of
go
course.
forward in time and answer some. Are you cool to answer some questions with us?
Oh hell yes!
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. All right.
She's my
So
favorite.
This question
She's my
comes
favorite so
from.
far.
Yeah, love Deej. Let's go into a question we got from Culkin Tarantino, who asked a question. Do you feel that the political impressions, particularly with Maya, Dana, and James, have been used to their full potential? In what ways would you change any of the impressions and how they've been used so far? So, that was one of the big questions coming into the season, Deej, was who was going to be playing all these political figures. You've seen a lot of SNL history. Do you feel like they are being used to their fullest potential right now?
Well, Maya was a no-brainer because she had the perfect impression. So to not have Maya back would have been a big tragedy. Really good to see Andy Samberg, because I'm a big because as everyone knows, my other nick is I Heart Hater. So anyone who connected with him is always a bonus for me. And my favorite line from the season from him was the first gentleman. That
yes,
line,
the gentleman. Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. Dana Carvey was also a nice surprise. And it's also kind of, again, I listen to a lot of SNL related podcasts. So hearing him get these little insights to the backstage stuff that was happening at SNL has been quite fun.
Yeah, that is very true. TJ, how are you feeling about these political impressions that we've seen a few episodes into the season? Obviously, every episode they've used them differently. What's your thoughts on them?
I think I think it's a lot of fun. I think Maya and James, like James has grown on me in a way that I did not expect. Like I don't know what it like. He's just solid, and I think he's fantastic, and I love what he's doing. He completely won me over, and I was wrong like about my initial impression with him. Maya can do no wrong, except I think if Kamala wins, I don't think we should see Maya after Kamala is sworn in, or maybe even like after she wins. Like I think there should be like if it goes on, I do think like there should be an endpoint for Maya, and it should go to a cast member, because there's going to be that turn where we all loved Alec. We loved Alec at the start with his Trump impression, and then we turned on him. And I don't think like Maya deserves that, because I think what she's doing is incredible, and she's not getting the credit that she deserves on it. And I think there should be a stopping point. Now, is SNL good at stopping things, and instead do they run things into the ground? Yeah, sure. But like I think if we can like leave it at a place where she goes out almost in a Hillary Clinton, Kate McKinnon hallelujah moment, I think we can give it the respect it deserves, so long as it ends at a certain point. But I think it's perfect, and that's the problem, is she can go down for me. I don't think there's any other way she can go up.
I think the impression's fantastic. I think there maybe is a healthy balance to seeing the impression in a way that isn't Baldwin Trump. I think that, she can keep the impression as far as I'm concerned and appear on the show once an episode cycle, or once every 4 or 5 episodes, and do something with the presidential impression, or at least until the end of the season. I'm totally fine with that. I just think that the problem with Alex Trump is just that we saw it every single week for a few years, that the, excitement around it completely wore off, where I think in a way, like, people's frustrations with Trump ended up being associated with Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that's
like, you
for
couldn't
sure.
separate one
That
from
is
the other.
for sure.
Yeah. So, and I don't know that we would get that naturally with, obviously there's people who don't like Kamala, but like, I don't know that naturally Maya is going to blend in with Kamala, because I just don't think she's going to play her every single week. Deej, do you have a thought on this?
Well, the unfortunate circumstance with Punky Johnson leaving the show, basically leaving
Ego.
forgetting her name. Ego, thank you very much.
Mhm.
So I love Ego. Her being the only Black cast member. Who else would they get to play her? And if they can give her, I would love to have her have a shot at it, because I believe she would be capable. But it's just Maya just basically has this. It's like she was born to play this person. So
I think Maya sees it as an honor, Deej. Like, I think she's like, this is something. I mean, like, you have to remember, like, when Maya came on the show in the year 2000, so it's been, a quarter century that Maya Rudolph has participated in Saturday Night Live, whether it's coming back as cameos or hosting or being on the show. And we've seen her in different stages of her life. And I think at this point of her life, I don't know how political Maya is as a person, but I think that she sees this as like the true honor of her life, to get to play Kamala Harris, potentially the first, woman president on Saturday Night Live and participate in that role. So it's not like I do think that's a major factor here, is that if there was, if Hillary had been elected and there was other women who were presidents in, the history of the United States, I don't know that this historical moment would be as valuable just simply from an SNL perspective. But given that there's no historical precedence for a woman becoming president, I think that Maya sees this as like the honor of her life. And that's why I do think that she would accept it and continue doing it, whether SNL wants her to or not long term. Yeah,
Maya is like just beautiful in so many ways.
Oh, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I want us to keep that. I don't want it to turn, like, we've seen it so many times where we've turned on people on SNL because we see them too much, and I don't want that to happen to her.
Yeah, I don't think it will. But
we say that every time, and then we turn on them. We say that every time.
Yeah. Okay.
I turned on Cecily in her last season. Like, it happens every time.
Yeah, but that's because we're so deep in it that
John,
anyway,
SNL is
let
our
me take one more question.
Is our toxic partner. We gotta understand the patterns. Okay, this is a toxic relationship, and we gotta look. We gotta go to therapy. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
Okay. I try and stay even keeled with this. But Deej, I'm going to give you one more question. This one also comes from our friend Ken in the chat, who says, I feel like this season has avoided a great deal of political commentary outside of Update in favor of just showcasing beloved alumni. Do you think these choices were made because of the anniversary or out of a fear of reprisal from Vance and Trump? So in terms of the actual political commentary we've gotten in these few cold opens, it's been a lot of like, them, showcasing these cast members' impressions without actually SNL making a commentary on the politics that's happening in the world. Do you agree with the choice that SNL has made, and have you enjoyed it?
Well, it really depends on the writing staff, because, the former head writer, and again, name escaped me, forgive my old brain.
Jim Downey?
Yes, Jim Downey. He was the GOAT for who had a good political mind. And there was also the backlash last year when they had the that one potential Republican candidate comment in one of the sketches. So
Nikki
it's
Haley.
Nikki Haley, yeah. So it's it's kind of tricky. Political humor is a very specific type of humor. Like whether if they get like someone like Randy Rainbow in the writers' room to do political stuff because he has a good political mind for comedy. So, and I also feel they want to play a little bit safe. But I will say it was interesting to see the Family Feud used as a device for the president things, because it's just no debates. So at least they've come up with some other ideas to. Sorry, shut up.
I'm sorry, listeners. Right now, Deej's cat wants to podcast.
What is your cat's name?
His name is Bazinga.
Bazinga. Oh, that's a perfect name. Love that.
Yeah, he's 11-year-old bouncy boy, so he has to stay on his shelf and he'll get treats later. Anyway, it's just
I understand your points for sure, especially with the Downey point. I mean, like, if you don't have this goes back to, does SNL want to hire writers specifically to write political commentary? I don't think they do that at this point. I think it's a lot of I think the value in the audience figuring out who is doing the good impression has become more valuable to SNL and NBC than necessarily writing a commentary about what's happening. It's just a different era for the show. But yeah, of course, I think we all wish that we could go back to an era where Downey was writing these things that just like blew your mind. It's like, whoa, I didn't think about politics that way until they put it in this lens. So it's a fascinating question, Ken, and thanks for asking it. Deej, before you do leave us tonight, I just want to ask if you have any other stray thoughts on season 50 that you want to share with us.
I want to come to the defense of Jane Wickline.
Okay.
When she was in the water slide sketch, there was a lot of negative criticism about how she was kind of stiff or always reading the cue cards. But I've listened to the SNL book over and over again, different biographies, and it's a constant comment is there is no class for how to read cue cards effectively. And anytime someone online complains about cue cards, I direct them to the behind the scenes episode specifically on cue cards, because things can change up to the very, very last minute. So a new cast member like that, it's going to take them some time to get used to finding the right way to basically read their cue cards. And I think she had some great chemistry with everyone on stage. She had some really good delivery, a little shaky at one point, but again, it's a new experience going from TikTok to network TV. I think she has a lot of potential. I loved her song in the Weekend Update. So I am going to hopefully be championing her throughout the season, because SNL is not easy. SNL is not easy at all, because it's the effect it has on people's mental health and the work schedule. So let's have some grace for the new cast members.
I love that you said that, and I appreciate it. And if Jane is listening, of course, I totally agree with you. I think that some of the best things about getting to watch seasons of SNL, if you ever like want to go back and binge them, is getting to see the growth of a cast member who may come in really raw and then develop into this huge star that we end up seeing in movies and TV shows afterwards. Like, nobody knows what Jane Wickline, if they give her the opportunity, will be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years on the show. And I love that they gave a cast member an opportunity to come on the show and, learn as they go. Like, I think you're totally right. The criticism of her during that sketch, I think, was a little bit unfounded. Was she, was she the right person in that moment? Was the sketch downgraded at all for, people because of her rules? Again, it's hard to say, but I do think that is the fun of SNL. And I'm glad that Michael Longfellow gave her that role in that sketch. I think that goes to show you what a great guy he is, that he wants to, champion the new people.
Well, even back in the day when Bill Hader started, he was very green. He just started doing improv a year before or 2 years before he started going on. And now look what he's become. He's just gone on to his stream of directing. Barry is like, I've watched that show so many times. It's mind blowing. And so there's always good potential, and it's always the competition to get sketches on the air, and you just gotta give them a chance. You can't get that
100%. Not every cast member is going to be Dana Carvey, where their first episode they're going to come out and just blow everybody's minds. Like, you got to give people a chance to grow on the show. So anyways, Deej, I appreciate this so much and getting to talk to you. So I hope you'll call back for the next time. So happy to have you a part of our
anytime you need me, I will be
family.
There for you. And I'm going to be
Happy
developing a Bill Hader podcast. I'm looking for a co-host. So
cool.
Hit me up at iHeartHater on Twitter, because I refuse to call it the other name. Please let me know.
Okay, sounds good. So if you're looking to podcast about Bill Hader, reach out to Deej, I_heart_hater. Thanks so much, Deej, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, John. Thank you, TJ. You are a delight.
You are Deej. You are a delight.
I try my best.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk soon, and we're going to bring on our next patron momentarily. So here we go. TJ, you having a good time so far? About the halfway point of the show?
She was my absolute. She's my favorite listener I've ever talked to of the 4 podcasts.
We don't do listener rankings on here. Just SNL.
I love all our listeners, but she was a delight.
Okay. All right. Well, no pressure coming up to our next patron that we're going to bring in here. So let's bring in our friend Haley is here. Haley, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you guys?
Doing well. It's so great to talk to so many new friends tonight. So Haley, thanks for joining. Where are you from?
Are those greeting cards in the background?
Yes, had a recent birthday, so that's why those are up there.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You.
Shout out
to
you.
Much. I'm from the LA area, so out in California.
Okay, cool. How long have you been a fan of SNL?
I'm a pretty recent fan, actually. I have, known about the show, watched occasional clips here and there growing up, stuff that like my dad would show me, or if I liked the musical guest, I would kind of, pop in here and there. But I think I really started watching more dedicated season 48. So I kind of found you guys around that time and have really actually watched episode to episode for a couple seasons now.
Haley, is it
Cool.
episode
Well,
that you
being
that you consider old school? And it could be old. It could literally be like 2013. Like, there's an episode that for you that you think is like a fun old school episode.
One of the first that I remember, I think it was either my uncle or my dad showed me, was the Gilly sketches, Kristen Wiig.
that
Gilly.
you said your dad or your uncle. That one hurts, but I'll accept it. It's okay. It's all right. John
Sorry
and
to
I are
do
in our
that to you.
30s. Wait, John, are you in your 30s yet?
I am. I'm 31.
Okay, dude, I'm 31 too. I don't think we have.
You guys are young. Don't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah. High five.
you guys are flipped on my screen, so you're just like high fiving.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but yes,
love it.
so it's time is weird in the SNL world. But Haley, you're the perfect person to answer this question. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna bring in a question from Mason, who said, the internet is changing SNL. This is his thesis. It is undeniable that Domingo has made a major cultural impact on the internet, and the TikTok pre-tape was his favorite of the season. As the 50th season goes on, how will and should SNL adapt to creating viral moments that are made for social media while also maintaining the integrity and tradition of the show? So Haley, this is one of those things that I talk about a lot on the roundtables of, who is this show for at this point? Is it for the people who watch from 11:30 to 1 a.m. on a Saturday? Or is the cool SNL population that's checking out the majority of these sketches, the ones that are watching them either in clips on YouTube or even shorter bursts on TikTok? And is that why, I'm sitting here looking like a big dumb idiot at 1 a.m. being like, I did not like that bridesmaid sketch, and it has 100 billion views on TikTok now. So what are your thoughts on all of this and this crazy phenomenon we see in the last few weeks?
Yes, no, I'm so glad you asked me that question, because I was thinking about it when you were just talking to Deej and you asked her if there were any questions she wanted to, or anything she wanted to talk about at the end there before you let her go. And I was like, if I don't get to talk about it, I want to talk about the bridesmaid sketch. So
Okay.
I think I have an interesting perspective on this, because believe it or not, I am not on TikTok, so I can't provide that sort of insight necessarily. But what I will say is that I watched the episode with my roommates, and we were all rolling at the bridesmaid sketch. Loved it, probably the favorite of the episode. And then I listened to the hot take show, and I think everyone was kind of down on it. And I was like, what? Are we just that off? And then I found out through listening to, I think it was the roundtable this last week, that you guys said, oh, it had gone viral on TikTok and everyone's really excited about it. And that's why they brought it back in the TikTok sketch. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'm not alone here in loving this. And I think what really grabbed me about this sketch was, I don't think it's the most enlightened writing we've ever seen, but I think just the combination of it being the catchiest song of the summer. I really liked how the artists, the Ariana Grande and then the cast members were kind of purposefully singing off key, just the kind of stilted way that they were singing. Andrew Dismukes, I was just rewatching it before I got on with you guys, and how he's just sitting there looking so dumbfounded. So just kind of, I think that lowbrow humor does get across to people of my generation, I would say, and not necessarily that it's not other generations as much, but I guess to the casual fan, I think the stuff that's not necessarily oh wow, who wrote that, this is so poetic, it's just kind of base humor. I think that's what gets through to people and will catch on and be more viral. Thinking back even to the Dumb and Dumber sketch from last season. So I think in order to reach those audiences, I think there needs to be kind of a combination of sketches. Yes, we want to see stuff that is more interesting and kind of thought-provoking, but also the stuff that can just be viral.
Haley, you're making me feel like I'm getting older.
I'm sorry.
Also,
I mean, I said I wasn't on TikTok. I don't know if that helps at all.
Are you what we consider post TikTok? Because I'm also not on TikTok. I was for the pandemic, but I'm also not myself either.
By post TikTok, do you mean I was and I'm reformed?
Yeah, that's where I feel I was on it for 3 years, loved it, and then I was I'm literally addicted to this. It needs to end.
Yeah, I've more post social media in general as much as I can. I was feel like first generation that really grew up with like Instagram. Like I think I got Instagram when I was like 12, I want to say. And
Jesus Christ.
uh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
you're just making me realize I'm 30. How dare you?
Okay, I'm 26. I'm not even that much younger.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you're not. Okay. I don't know why I thought you were like, okay.
But I think there
Different age.
is I'm like that weird like I'm technically Gen Z, but I feel like I relate more to millennial. I don't know.
The cusp, right?
So kind of
No, it's
but yeah, so I grew out of like social media. I was done with Instagram and stuff because yeah, I was like it's so addicting. So I just didn't even let myself get on TikTok to
okay.
begin with.
I am also surprised myself that sketch did take off. Like Espresso's being such a catchy beat, like in the cringeness of it, like is fun. It has been stuck. The Domingo thing has been stuck in my head too, but like it is kind of funny with that clashing with like the hardcore SNL fan combined with like the more casual audience, what gets picked up. Listeners, fun fact right now, Jon disappeared. So I'm hosting a podcast, baby. Haha. No, actually we're gonna go to actually, I think we'll just maybe go to another question, Haley, while we're waiting for Jon to get everything figured out. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, perfect. Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. So let's do. Okay. So is there a sketch that you would say this sketch is coming from us to us from it's Benjamin LeBaron. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. What would you say is a highlight sketch so far this season? I know we talked about Bridesmaids, that was a really big sketch, but is there another one for you that stuck out?
Yeah, there's a few. I actually really liked the I think I don't know what the official title was, but the Washington Stream Part 2.
I think it was just Washington's Dream too. So honestly, you nailed it.
Yes. Yeah, so I think that's another one that kind of I've heard conversations on the podcast about, oh, should, recurring sketches, do they need to reinvent the wheel? Is more of the same kind of okay. And that one for me, like I didn't need anything completely original. Like I loved the first one so much that I was like, I'll take another with just different jokes, but same kind of beat for beat. So I think that also kind of goes back to like who you're servicing. And I think people who are just like, yeah, sure, like I'm casual, I don't need anything too crazy, something like that that is relatable to most Americans, I think goes a long way. So that's one that stood out to me. Oh.
Sorry. No, I agree. I think it's really fun having those like little touchstones that everybody can get around on. I think it's just a talent to like a great comic to be able to kind of like bring those things to your attention, whether it's, the weirdness of like, I mean, plenty of people have like cracked on like the American measurement system or like the things we're doing with the English language, but it's so much fun when you could just find another angle to it. It's just the mark of just like a great comedic lens. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I was gonna say I feel like also Nate Bargatze's like delivery of some of the lines really, and all the cast that was in it, but I think that kind of makes it like different people doing the same bit wouldn't quite come across as well. So yeah, I think it's the lens and the delivery that really makes it.
Yeah. Why don't we do one more question while we're still waiting? Jon said that his internet went down. So we're just gonna keep the show going.
Okay.
In the meantime, Haley, how you feeling? Are you I know I'm scared too. It's okay. I've hosted I've done, you ever seen that SpongeBob meme where he talks about like, do you have a family? Like, I've done this before. It's fine. I haven't hosted Jon's show.
Everything's fine. No, I'm used to improving, so I am like here for it. If I need to become Jon Schneider for the moment, I can do it. So.
It's okay. We have I know we also have listeners that are also waiting in the wings. We understand you're waiting in the wings. So I'm just waiting for Jon to come back and we can get on moving with that. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep on chatting.
Sounds
okay.
Great.
So I'm curious for you. Do you want to? This question comes to us from Kaylee Silverstein. Do you want to see more of Michael Longfellow and Devin Walker? And if so, like, where do you think they might fit in the future? I know you came on pretty recently, but they were included in the seasons when you came on, Haley. So how do you feel about Devin and Michael?
Yeah, so their rookie season was my first season watching, so I feel kind of like a kind of soft spot for them. Like I'm like really rooting for them, as well as the others that came on at the same time. And I was kind of with, I can't remember who it was, kind of from the Saturday Night Network crew, but a lot of you I feel like have been pulling for Michael Longfellow, especially like last year. Like we need him in more stuff. Like what's going on?
Oh, that's fully John. That's fully John has been championing. I like Mikey Long's too. That cigarette sketch is incredible because whoever knew a cigarette could seduce you. But that's fully John.
Okay. So hopefully we can get John back so he can hear me being on the same page as him. But I'm really happy to see so far. I feel like he's had a pretty strong season so far. The lifeguard sketch was also another favorite of mine. So I would love to see him. Oh, he's back.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, John.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Oh
Everything
my
okay, bud?
gosh. Yeah, that's
Ladies
never
and
happened
gentlemen,
to me
this is
before. Everything just
unprecedented.
crashed, but sorry, Haley, I didn't mean to.
No,
This is
that's all right.
nothing unprecedented. But I'm sorry I missed part of the conversation. Please continue. TJ, where were we?
Well, actually, we were just talking about Michael Longfellow and Devin Walker, and Haley was answering a question from Kaylee Silverstein. Just asking where does she kind of see them fitting into the future. Thought it might be fitting since Haley's first season was their rookie seasons, and I think that was maybe going to be our last question.
Yes, so I was just kind of
Okay.
in the middle of saying that I think you might have
Yeah,
a
I think there
little
might be a delay.
a little lag, John, so I'm just gonna go ahead and as soon as I finish, hopefully you can jump in. But
This is amazing. This is
I'm
amazing.
really this is my podcast debut and I'm getting a crash course. I love it.
Honestly,
trying to vamp.
Haley, you're doing great. You are. Like, trust
Thank
me,
you,
it's all gonna be fine.
Yes, so Michael Longfellow, I am really excited to see him doing better, getting more screen time this season, and hopefully we'll see him continue to do so. Devin Walker, I feel like I don't know if we've seen quite as much. I haven't really been looking at the numbers as much as I know y'all do, but I think they really have a place. I feel like they connect with a younger audience. I like I said, watch with my roommates who are a similar age, and we're all like kind of rooting for that class. So as far as where they fit in, I mean, I think there's really a place for, I think we see Michael Longfellow as like a kid in a lot of sketches, like if there's parents and a kid, and like you said, on the update desk, he's had a lot of great pieces. So would love to see him more there. And Devin, I think, is a great kind of, I think he could kind of fill a utility player role, kind of. He has some, distinct things he can do as well. But maybe if we do see Keaton leave in coming seasons, he could kind of hop into that role.
TJ, I'm gonna try and fix what's going on over here. I just want to make sure you can hear me, but I'll try and fix this for the next few minutes. I'm gonna bring in, I know Demi's waiting in the background as well. Haley, you're welcome to stay on if you'd like to for this part of the conversation, but I'll bring in Demi so you guys have somebody else to talk to.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys want me to stay, I can, but if you want me to give Demi the floor, I can head out.
Demi, welcome to the SNL. Welcome to what's happening right now. This is amazing. Listeners who are listening, this is truly unprecedented that Jon Schneider, the perfection, the obelisk that is Jon Schneider, is experiencing technical difficulties. We can almost play elevator music and put up a fake screen for what's happening to him right now. But Demi, thank you very much for joining us on the Patriot Feedback Show. How are you feeling today?
I'm great, TJ. Thank you for having me.
We're really glad to have you here. Are those books VHS? Why would they be VHS, TJ? Sorry. Are those books in the background? I need a full screen. Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm sorry. I thought they were VHS cases for a second, which is insane. That's an insane thing.
Well, I do have some of those as well, but Oh
my goodness. What's your t-shirt say?
Late Night with Seth Meyers.
Oh, that's an appropriate shirt to wear for today.
Thank you. Yes, I thought so too.
All right.
I like your art in the background.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. We're gonna keep things moving. We're gonna keep things moving. We'll just take a few more questions to try to see if there's more that we can fit in. Okay, so here it is. I think this is a fun one. We have a question here from Sophie Lee. Do you all think that
Wait, can you guys hear me? TJ, do I
Yes.
sound like I'm coming out of my microphone?
Yes.
Like four rooms.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Is this funny to anyone else? Like, I know it's
Wait,
like
is it-
also
is it
live
not working?
listeners.
Is it not working properly now?
You're fine. You're fine, John.
It's
working.
loud and
I'm
clear.
asking the next question. We're gonna keep driving it. We have a question here from listeners. I'm so sorry for this. None of this is planned. But we so much all to have a wonderful show. This next question is going to come to us from Sophie Lee. Do you all think, and Demi, we're going to go to you first. Do you all think that having such a large ensemble is making it harder for our stars to emerge from SNL?
Yes.
All right, there we go. That's the show, everybody. Thank you very much.
I kind of hear what Haley has to say, like as a new fan who's not like horrifically jaded.
Yes, yeah.
This is cool.
Okay, I feel bad like I'm taking your time if you wanna go more.
That was my answer. So
Okay, so the question was, does an ensemble cast make it harder for individuals to stand out? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and you do have a fresher perspective here, Haley. So we'll be curious because you don't, like as Demi said, have the jadiness that we had as fans of SNL.
Yes, that is interesting because I've heard everyone talk about that, and yeah, I don't have a reference point for like this size cast seems like normal to me because that's kind of what I've known, at least as far as like when I've been a more dedicated viewer. But for me, I definitely have like standout favorites, and I feel like there have been standouts over the past few seasons, and I know you guys talk about it on the pod a lot. So I don't know. I think it doesn't detract from there being standouts, but maybe does, as you were talking about a little bit earlier, does make it so that it's harder for the newcomers to break through. That's kind of my thoughts on it. But again, I don't have the reference, so it's a little hard to say.
I think she doesn't have the darkness yet, Demi. And that's okay because she's pure right now as a fan. And she should try to keep the light that she has in her eyes for the show. John, do you want to cue up the next question?
Sure. Did you cover any other questions between the bridesmaids one and this one? So I just know
already highlighted them for you inside the chart, inside of the sheet.
TJ, see, everyone thinks that TJ can't run the podcast, but he is so amazing and such a thank you. You know, a big round of applause for TJ tonight, everybody. Yeah, there you go.
I hosted shows too.
You're good at it.
Yeah,
but Demi has questions she needs to be asked. Haley,
no, for sure. So let me get, now that I'm back in full. First of all, Haley, apologies that I messed with your time here, but I do really appreciate your perspective on everything. And I was listening, and your insight on the bridesmaid sketch is very interesting for me. I've been very fascinated with that sketch for the last couple of weeks, just trying to figure out how to wrap my mind around it, because as I've watched it maybe 10 times at this point, I still don't think that the writing is so great on it, but the moments
John's in a lab and he's like, what is it that they like about the sketch?
Yeah, but I will say is that I thought it was hilarious that I don't know if you guys saw this, but I think somebody posted on TikTok the last couple of days, and it went around the internet, that Marcella was performing at like a college doing some stand-up, and everyone in the crowd was like yelling, "Do Domingo, do Domingo."
Oh, no.
So he was like, "Guys, promise me that I'll do the Domingo, and then you'll let me like tell my jokes." So then he came out and he started like doing the whole Domingo thing, and then everyone was just going like nuts for it. They're like, "Yeah, Domingo!" And then he got so it's like it's a thing.
That's not a good sign, though. That's not a good sign.
If that's the thing that Marcelo becomes known for, that will be something, considering everything else he does on the show.
I'm telling you, it's very like it's a huge viral thing now. So look, do I think, to go back to that question from 20 minutes ago, do I think that SNL should be trying for these moments? No, but I do think that they naturally do happen. And the truth is that I think SNL did something really brilliant, Demi, Haley, DJ, which is that they clued in everyone who's not on TikTok who didn't know about this moment that it was viral by putting it in the TikTok sketch the next week. So for those who were like not aware that this was becoming a thing, they were like, "Oh, was that sketch a thing?" And they made us all aware of it. So if SNL can do that, I think we're fine if moments go viral on TikTok. It just would take them to like speed people up.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my perspective on that. But anyways, Haley, is there anything else that you would like to say about this season while we have you? It was so great to get to hear your thoughts for the first time.
No, that's okay. I concede the floor because I know you guys probably have other people to get to, but thank you for having me. Hopefully I brought a good perspective, and yeah, it was great talking to y'all.
You absolutely did, and I could promise the next time you
absolutely
call
did.
in, I will be there the whole time.
Yeah, I'm like, this is my first time. Like, is this a bad sign? Am I bad luck for the pod? I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no, Haley, you helped make it work, or else it would have been me monologuing for the listeners. And secret, I'm not a good like stand-up by any means. So honestly, you helped keep this alive. So we're really glad to have had you.
Yeah.
Glad to help.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
thanks,
thank y'all.
Haley, and we'll chat soon. Looking forward to catching up with you another time. Okay.
All right. See y'all.
Thanks, Demi. What is up?
John, you're alive. So glad to hear
Demi
that.
was waiting. People were asking, "Is John alive?" Like I think I saw that in the comments. Somebody was wondering,
It was
"Is
just
John
weird. It was like
alive?"
the my internet was just like it wasn't working, and then I tried to call into my phone, and then when I heard you be like, "Oh, there's a major delay," I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a disaster." So I just waited it out. We're all back. We're good now. But Demi, so always great to hear from you. How are you doing? How are you enjoying the season so far?
Great and really great. Or actually, you can flip them either way. But yes, happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Glad to witness all of this
Yes.
resiliency.
So season 50, biggest season ever. Do you agree? Has it been fun for you?
It's definitely been fun, and I mean, like it's just a season. It can't be someone's birthday party every single day. You're gonna get like fatigued. You can't like walk into work like, guys, this sketch has got to be the best one ever. Like I'd imagine that'd be a little bit exhausting, but we're having legacy cast members come back. Maya, Andy, Jim Gaffigan's filling in. Oh my God, Dana Carvey. Like that is Lonely Island. I know everyone's talked about it before, but I was kind of thinking the blockbuster stuff I'm seeing, I think it's kind of in the musical guests, because usually Lauren will, I've heard he likes to pair well-known hosts with lesser-known bands and vice versa. And then sometimes for like a fireworks episode, they'll do a super well-known host and a super well-known band like Chappelle and Foo Fighters, Chappelle and Tribe Called Quest, the Beatles and Steve Martin Short. I mean, those are like powerhouse duos, but despite any like hate, there's been really top-notch musical guests like every time. We had who's with Gene Smart. We had who's with
Jelly
Gene
Roll.
Smart.
Jelly
Roll. He's like
good.
He's apex right now. Like he's like riding the crest. And then
Yeah.
we had
He was fantastic.
We had Coldplay, Stevie Nicks, and Billie Eilish.
Yeah, those are like powerhouse music guests. So there's not like they were like lifting the host.
That's interesting. Can I kind of go back to something you said about you brought up PDD and the Lonely Island, and I think there's a couple of questions here that we got about them that I think would be great to get your perspective on. So Fred, who was on with us earlier, asked, do you think we'll see a Lonely Island PDD crossover this season? So we got Lonely Island in episode 2, we got PDD in episode 4. And then our friend Ike asked a 2-part question. Do you feel like with the return of Lonely Island and the new SNL short film that we may end up having PDD feeling left out of this season? Do you think we may get more Lonely Island songs? Because Ike low-key thinks that there's going to be an album. So I think that on the Seth Meyers Lonely Island podcast, they said that they're working on some new music. So that answers that. But yeah, TJ, you want to jump in on it?
They did say they're working on music, but they did add a bit of extra context where like it doesn't negate anything, but Andy did also say right now they don't have they have songs, but they don't have an outlet for it. And it seems like they always need some sort of like visual element. So they could try to do SNL again, but it doesn't seem like they're aiming. Like I listen to that show every week. It doesn't seem like they're aiming to like, oh, let's do another run of SNL.
Yeah, no, I don't think they should. I mean, as much as like they're some of my favorite things that have ever happened on the show, like, you know, coming, you know, if you came back once every couple of years with a new digital short, I mean, obviously like we're blessed for it, but they don't need to be on the show every week. Demi, do you have a perspective on, you know, PDD and their relationship to, you know, pre-tapes, what we may see from them this season? Because, you know, very surprisingly, we only got one PDD short in this first run of the season. We did see like that SNL movie matinee with Dan Bula for the My Best Friend's House. So it seems like they're experimenting with different formats for this. What's your perspective on it?
I mean, on the one hand, I was thinking if you were going to do like a crossover episode or a crossover short, you'd have to do it with extreme delicacy to not ruin anyone's legacy and like, you know, not to screw it up. Like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But unless it's horrible, like how psyched would you be if they're doing like a crossover episode to be like, oh my God, they're together. Like that might get halfway over and the writing wouldn't have to be as good, but they're both known for being really good writers. I don't know. I mean, I'd probably lose my mind either way. So I can't be like a New Yorker about it. Like, I think it'd be, if they went through with it, I mean, I would definitely watch, as long as it wasn't too offensive and like edgy, which neither of them are really known for, really. So
wait, hold on. Are you talking about The Lonely Island? I just want to make sure I caught that correctly.
yeah, well, I mean, like not controversial, like not like
I'm gonna say they have
rail.
a song called "Jizz in My Pants," and I'm like, wait,
What?
hold on,
I
like
Never heard that one.
I don't.
banger. We don't talk about it enough. Banger of a song.
Yeah, great song. I mean, look, I think that this is one of those things that's you know,
Sorry,
it was really cool
It's
that
just a
we
great-
got that digital short on SNL. To me, by the way, Sushi Glory Hole is still like my favorite sketch of the season.
Solid banger too.
Yeah, but personally, I think that, you know, any crossover between the two of them would happen on SNL 50, and I think it may not just be PDD Lonely Island. It could be some sort of pre-tape that starts as a, you know, TV Funhouse and turns into a digital short and then turns into a PDD. Like it could be something that we end up doing there where, you know, we honor the pre-tapes of generations. But I don't think PDD is being like shut out of this at all. They've been writing stuff every week. They've gotten on the show. I think they're taking a step back from what they had been doing previously, was just them having something like a sketch on every single week for months in a row that like didn't work. I think you got diminishing returns from that. So I think like once a cycle is the right place for them to come on and do a short. I think we'll get at least 2 more before Christmas. And I think that they've been doing a lot of product placement stuff with NBC, with the
Duncan.
yeah. And then I think Ben Marshall was in like a Kim Kardashian commercial or something.
He
so
was.
Yeah,
he was. I actually really liked it, honestly.
yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about them. I do think that their presence and importance to the show in this era is definitely still there. What's more interesting to me is like, I thought that they may end up moving them to head writers eventually, and the show would look, you know, from their, you know, from a top down perspective, PDD's influence on the show would have gone in that direction, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that. It still seems like it's Allison Gates and Ken Sublette and now Streeter Seidel's show. So that's something that I'm like watching on a very, you know, nerdy level. But beyond that, any other thoughts, Demi, from your end?
No, like they're very subversive. PDD is very subversive. I don't know. When you try to bring subversive into like the main line, it's not. But obviously they're really talented, so I don't know. But I'm here for all of it, and I'm glad to get to talk about it with you guys and in the chat. And yeah.
Okay,
like,
well,
Demi, oh my God.
Yeah,
it literally just clicked that you're Demi Constantine, and right, that's you.
Yeah,
it just clicked. Like it just clicked that like, oh, I see her name all the time, like in our live chat. It just like I just put 2 and 2 together because I'm an idiot. Like, sorry. Like, so shout out to you. Always have very nice.
That's not my name anymore, but thank you. I changed it to just my first name, but
oh snap!
For ease of chatting, that was literally the only reason why I changed it.
So, Demi, anything else you want to talk about from the season? Any other themes? Any things you're seeing?
No, but just for the rest of the season, I'm just like, you know, hear us out. So I'm here. I'm hearing them out. Hear us out.
Song. What a great song.
Hear us out. Hear us out. Yeah. Well, and it was good to get to see you for a little bit. I'm sorry that we started off a little funky, but I'm really always happy to get to hear your thoughts on the show. And I hope you keep calling in because love your perspective and great to see you in the chat all the time as well.
Thank you, John. Thank you, TJ. Glad to be here.
Demi.
Thank you.
Thanks, Demi.
Bye.
We'll talk soon. Thanks.
John,
All right.
I have an idea.
Yes. What is it?
Hear me out. You and
Hear
me.
us out.
Next time we're in the same place. We do like a lip sync recording of Sushi Glory Hole.
That sounds like exactly what we should be doing.
Right?
Yeah.
Like bars.
Yeah, look out for it. All right, let's bring in the aforementioned Casey Killingsworth is here. Casey, what is
snap,
up?
Casey.
Hey, I'm doing great. Good to see you, John and TJ again, and it's good to be talking about a new season with you guys. Hope you guys have been doing great. I've been doing great. So yeah, let's just get
do
into
it. Let's do it. Let's talk, Casey.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. So, you are a historian of Saturday Night Live. We are in a historical season of the show. We are now 4 episodes into it. How does it stack up to your expectations?
Well, I feel like it's kind of important not to set your expectations too high with this show. But that being said, I feel like season 50 is in a good place 4 episodes in. They're headed in the right direction. I think having Mulaney come in will push them over to where they need to be. I mean, it was a bit of a rocky start, a bit uneven, but I saw the last 2 episodes with Keaton and Grande. They're experimenting at a level they should be, and they're trying new things. And they've hired 3 new people, and so far 2 of those 3 have gotten their big breakout solo moments. And
So, Casey, this is a great thing that you just said, because we got a question here from Ella that I want you to answer with us, which is where Ella asked, do you see any qualities from the new cast members, Ashley, Emil, and Jane, that can make them successful on SNL? So how do you feel about these 3, and what are the things that you think are really clicking or not from them?
I mean, I feel like with Jane Wickline, I understand she was big on TikTok before she got on SNL. So I feel like just having her in there for a show that, wants to stay relevant with viral moments, I feel like she could allow them to work smarter, not just harder. So just like they could work a bit to just infuse her TikTok style humor into the show, and just have a regular Jane Wickline sketch go viral in a way that hits with Gen Z and connects with them, instead of just trying to force something like the Domingo thing. Because who knows if that's what Marcel wants to be remembered for. We don't want that to haunt him. But yeah, so just bring in Jane, have her work within the show to just organically grow a new viral sketch. And Emil, just he brings a new perspective to the show, like kind of when Rami Youssef hosted last season. Just a new perspective that could help the show reach a more diverse audience, and draw in some new viewers that way. Another way they could connect with Gen Z. And I haven't really seen much of Ashley Padilla yet. So I'm not. Maybe she could fill the Cecily Strong, Chloe Trost void, where she just brings a lot of actress type talent to the show. But I really need to see her in a breakout showcase type piece.
I'm fascinated with Ashley Padilla. I cannot wait to see what we will see from her, because coming from the ground, it had been like, this is a huge storyline on the show, which is that for all of the impact that COVID had on seasons like 45 and 46, 47, 48, and 49 were truly impacted by hiring decisions that were limited. So like in 47 and 49, there was no improv troops where production staff can go and scout new talent. As a result, they end up bringing on all these stand-ups. And then last year in 49, there was no way to audition people because of the strikes that were happening. So Chloe Trost, who had previously auditioned in 48, they brought back in 249. And now, this is the first time, Casey, that they're digging into the well of where they found some of their greatest performers in their history by getting someone from an improv troupe. So Ashley Padilla, for me, is the one that's like, she's the highly touted prospect here. I'm excited for what we're going to get from Emil and his diverse background. And I think that Jane is a very interesting cast member to see how she develops. But Ashley's the one that comes in as like, if this is a sports analogy, like she's the number 1 draft pick here. So like, I'm curious how she's going to do and what moments we're going to get from her this season.
Yeah, so it'd be with these new people, it'd be a good mix of one person who came through the show through traditional means, and 2 people that they're trying out a new approach with, trying to reach a younger audience. So, it should work out, just as long as they know how to play to each of these people's strengths. And And honestly, I feel like the only thing that may really be bringing the show down or hindering it a bit is some of the election material, and not just because it's politics or just because it's. I mean, it's technically stunt casting, but you like seeing alumni like Maya and Andy and Dana, and it is appropriate for a 50th anniversary season. So I think we can let that part slide, even though those people probably better serve the show just by hosting later on or just being the 50th anniversary. It's just that to me, the election material just it there's a lack of focus to it that makes it ring a little bit hollow. It's like it's just the writing, and it seems like not so much that they're touch on topics that everyone's talked to death. It's just that they they seem afraid to really say anything, of substance about either candidate, and I kind of understand, again, season 50, they're trying to bring in a wide audience, maybe, an audience that abandoned the show a long time ago, maybe an audience that's just not into the political material. But we all know that this show has been attacked for, having a liberal bias with the way they've handled politicians, especially Trump, Sarah Palin. But they've been saying that about the show for years, and suddenly it's like, is it just me, or does it seem like they're going after Doug Emhoff and Tim Walz a lot harder than they are JD Vance and Trump? It seems like they're they're reaching that tipping point where they're going after the left a little bit more, to the point where you might see some, like online right wing pundits say, "Hey, SNL's funny again. They're finally making fun of Biden for just being, old and
Interesting.
doddering." And I've actually saw, and like, if you've browsed Twitter lately, it's Elon's site, X, whatever. It's Elon's site, so he rigged that so you have to go out of your way to avoid seeing his post, and he, put a link to one of Biden's Carvey performances out there. So I'm not sure what they're trying to do with the election material, and there's maybe only 1 or 2 more weeks of it left. But
I don't know if it's deliberate, Casey, but I
yeah.
do feel that they are definitely maybe attack is not the right word. They're making fun of both sides. So I think whereas in the last couple of cycles, maybe it leaned in a certain direction, I do feel like you're right that they are doing stuff where they are making fun of the left. Like, I think they're doing things with Maya's impression of Kamala that like isn't painting her as like a saint in the way that they did sometimes with Hillary and Kate's impression. They're sort of showing like the psychological angst of like, what if she lost the election, or people that are not doing their job properly, like her, breaking the wine glass and stuff like that, being, like those types of things that like you never would have gotten in the Hillary impression. I feel like is being written a little bit smarter now. So like, in theory, agreed that, the political satire is not being delivered with any kind of like, hey, this is SNL's opinion on current day politics. But I think that they're doing a little bit more than what they did the last couple of cycles. TJ, do you feel similarly?
I mean, it feels like they are going a little soft. I do think, like, Casey, there's something you said at the very beginning of your piece where you kind of said there feels a little bit of I can't remember the exact quote. You said hollow. I think
Yeah,
you said the word
hollow, lack of
Yeah.
focus.
And I think we're just in a different like generational era. I think that's what it is. Like, I think about like great political pieces, like the one of my absolute favorites is the Bill Clinton McDonald's piece. I can't remember I can't remember if it was like Hartman or Hammond.
Oh, that
the
was
cast.
Hartman
Yeah,
McDonald.
it was Hartman. Yeah, great, like phenomenal, like piece. And like, but really, you're just kind of coming after like a guy's like weight and like his eating habits, which is not something you might do as much like nowadays. So I do wonder if it's more generational and more cultural. That like, would it come across as more mean if, because like there used to be times when you would make fun of like people's appearance or Oh my God, wasn't the whole thing with the Governor David Patterson thing? Wasn't it making fun of the fact that he was blind too?
Yeah,
Like,
they came under a
Yeah.
lot of fire for that.
yeah, and it's like, not gonna lie, I laughed at it too. I'm not saying it was right, but I did laugh. And so I just wonder if it's also like a generational thing. Like, if you make fun of Kamala in a certain way, like, I just wonder if you would just get a lot more heat that you're not trying to get. Like, you, I don't know. It seems like they're more comfortable making fun of Trump, but like, I just wonder, like I wouldn't mind some like I don't know. There's good Kamala
But
jokes.
the thing
Like,
is,
for
it's
instance,
like it's
hold on, let me
it's also
finish this.
yeah. Go
Wait,
ahead. Yeah.
I'm tired of Kamala asking me for $5. Like, I already gave you some money. Like, just relax. Like, you're out here peddling, girl. Like, you got money, you're fine. But like, it just kind of feels like it does feel like they're holding back a little bit. But I don't know if they just have. Has Colin not found the angle?
I don't know if
Is
it's
there
Colin,
even an angle?
but
don't
yeah,
know.
but no, I think there is, like, they are doing a little something. I would be curious if she does get elected and then Maya continues to come on, like how they would use her at that point, as opposed to her just like walking on and everyone's like, ooh, it's Maya. Like, I'm like, is there anything that, like, is there teeth then when she's the current president? But for now, I actually really have in mind too much what they're doing. I feel like it's really like benign and it is safe, but there's been like times of laughter for me, and I don't think that anyone's going to walk away saying that season 50's politics is the best political commentary in its history, but it is way better than some of the worst things that we've had on the show.
I mean, yeah, and I never really thought about it from the perspective that you brought up, John, where the way that Maya in the show portrays Kamala is that they're on her side, they empathize with her, what she's going through, what if she loses, what's going to happen. But at the same time, it's like their harshest attack on Kamala seems to be that she tries too hard to be liked, and she does that by just doing memes on TikTok so Gen Z will fall in love with her. And at the same time, there's a silliness to how Maya portrays Kamala with love, and there's also a silliness to the way JAJ portrays Trump as but there's like an indifference there because they don't really want the show to like Trump. They just want us to view him the way he is, as like this guy who just rambles on about just pointless crap at what's supposed to be a political speech to get him into office. But and also I keep coming back. I can't get over how they're treating JD Vance with kid gloves when everyone's
what is that
there's
about?
a lot. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree. That is so weird to me. I don't know why like that one I won't defend. I have no idea why they're not doing that. I read quotes from Lorne and Bowen talking about, Bowen didn't originally want to take the impression. Lorne said, no, you're meant to do this impression, like whatever it is. But it's literally been nothing happening. He just says like, I'm JD Vance, and that's it.
Yeah, and another part of that, another quote I read was that Bowen himself said, he studied JD Vance, he watched his speeches, and he just could not find an angle because this guy's so hollow. There's no way into the character. But then he watched the Netflix adaptation of Hillbilly Elegy, his memoir, and he noticed that at one point, JD thought he might have been gay as a young child, and he talked to his mama, and she set him straight, and that really struck a chord with Bowen. He said he decided to play him as a guy who doesn't have a personality because he doesn't have the spine to claim one, which that's a valid take on JD Vance, but there's other avenues you could go at him.
But I feel like Beck did more with Mike Pence than
for sure.
Yeah, where it was like he was doing the whole like mommy stuff, I feel like, and they're not like so different from like SNL characters. So I feel like there is something that can be done there. I definitely would say like that's probably the most disappointing one of all of them.
Oh my God, we're just not treating it with respect. All you have to do is put a sofa in lingerie and then put it next to Bowen playing JD Vance. It's right there. What are we even talking about here? Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's so fucking easy to do that. So, all right.
Well, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm back.
I'll give you that one. Thanks.
John's
back on the show.
and
Casey, I don't want to interrupt because I know you have a lot of great thoughts. I just want to make sure as we're headed towards the end of our show tonight that we do have one more patron that I want to get to and bring into the show. So I just want to know any final thoughts from you on season 50, and then we'll bring in Mike and wrap up the final questions of the show tonight.
Just a couple quick things, like just going back to JJ's Trump and Bo and his Vance. It seems like it's not that they want Trump to win, but at least in the back of Lauren's mind, he's kind of resigned part of himself to thinking that, he's probably going to win. And that's why they have two current cast members playing him. But you did, or someone said that Maya and Dana and Annie will be there the whole season. So they may have
I don't think that's
some,
true.
Oh, well, it's like maybe if you didn't say like Entertainment Weekly or someone said it, but I'm not sure now that they have a plan if Kamala wins in January and Maya and Annie are just too busy. So I guess we'll have to see how it goes, but
we'll see. I know Dana said on one of his podcasts that that he was booked for the first few shows and that was it. So I don't know if there's a plan after that. I wouldn't be surprised if they popped up, but I do think, let's call it after episode 6, unless we have like a very extended count situation going on, I think we're going to get these impressions sporadically. I don't think that it's going to be an every week thing. So
when Andy was on the Seth Meyers podcast, the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast, he said a similar thing to where like Akiva said a thing of like, they had just done the 4th episode, the Keaton episode, and he was speaking to Andy in like current tense. So it seemed like Andy had at least another episode to come up. Like apparently like he's still kind of, I don't know if he's traveling or if Andy's staying in New York right now, but like the way they were speaking in the conversation was very much like Andy said like, oh yeah, I'm back to living that life right now. So it seemed like it was still like current.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. Casey, thanks so much for joining us tonight. So great to get your perspective on everything and looking forward to chatting with you next time. So please call in again. And everybody go read Casey Killingsworth SNL blog. It is so awesome. You do great recaps and discussions of every SNL episode. So tell the listeners where they can check that out.
Well, if you follow me on my socials like X or Threads or Blue Sky, I post links to them there. And I also recently did a mini review for Saturday Night, the Jason Reitman movie, on my blog, and I saw it. It was really great, and my thoughts are there. And so hopefully the big things that season 50 will be remembered for when it's looked back on as an anniversary season. Hopefully that's coming, after the election in 2025. When the show's figured out how to effectively use these new people and just moved on from the election. And I'm looking forward to the rest of it. And it was great to talk to you guys again. And I hope to be back on here pretty soon.
You will be. Great to talk to you, buddy. And we'll chat soon. Okay. Thanks, Casey. All right, TJ, let's take it home with Mike Lieb is here. Mike, how are you?
Hey, John. Hey, TJ. It's been a while, John. I'm not sure if you remember the last time I was on. It was season 48. We were talking about Quinta Brunson's episode.
So, wow. Okay. It's been a while, but
a lot has changed.
I have a blast with you whenever you do come on. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Some of that was, I had a son, so I'm a dad now. So a lot of changes.
Shout out to you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm a lot more
Shut
tired.
the club up. No,
yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, talking about club. I'm 31, so we got the 31 club here talking.
Nice.
So.
Oh, snap. There you go. Look at that.
There we go. But I'm surprised you saved me for last. There's always such great insights from Casey there. So it's great.
Don't sell yourself short. Always.
Yeah, man, what you do? You're still here.
I'm still here.
You're a headliner, technically.
That's how I frame it. Yeah. So thank you to everyone who's still here listening and watching and
yeah, exactly. Well, Mike, why don't we do some, since you're closing the show with us tonight, we have some other questions. Let's just do some rapid fire with the two of you, and we'll throw some things at you.
Oh boy! All right.
And then we'll get some thoughts. So no pressure. But so this one comes from Fred, who says, "Who do you think would play Harris, Walls, and Dougie in the current cast if they went there with them?" So Kamala, TJ's it would go to Ego, I guess. I don't know if she wants to do the impression, but I would assume like there's nobody else that they would give it to, right?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Yeah, that's the question that we were asked. So
Is it because I'm African American, John?
No, I'm going around the table as I indicated.
TJ,
before
I'll
I
let you
asked
take
the
this
question.
one first.
Yeah, TJ.
No.
Starting with you.
Mike, Mike, this feels like an area of your expertise. No, I'm kidding. No, I think because of that whole Kerry Washington stunt a while ago, I think Maya still is technically the right call.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah. Mainly because of that, because if Egg, I don't know, John, at one point I could have sworn I heard you say that at one point Ego was working on an impression.
Did I say that?
I might be. I don't know. This might have been a podcast from a while ago, man. Your voice is running a couple times, once a week or something when I'm listening to the show.
I record thousands of hours of SNL content, so I don't know. But
you probably heard it in your sleep, TJ.
I know. Honestly, yeah, he just lives. I hear John's. Yes, that is right. I probably hear the opening of the show.
Is that your alarm clock now?
Mike, what about you? Yeah. What do you? I can answer about Walls and Doug in a minute, but Mike, what do you think?
There's only one right answer for having Ego, but Walls, that's tough. But I would, Jay can only do so many impressions of political figures, right? But he would have been great.
A great Kamala. I bet JJ has a great Kamala in him. No,
I'm gonna throw this one to Mikey Longs.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, he has. So the reason they went with Gaffigan, I guess he has that old nerdy white look. So I think Mikey Day in theory would do it, but I probably not the right body type. But it is an interesting thing there. And then Dougie, I just can't imagine that they're going to give the impression. There's just not many, first ladies or first gentlemen that they play too often on the show unless there's a reason to play them. This felt like a really fun Easter egg bonus thing of getting Andy Samberg on the show, but there was absolutely no reason to get a Doug Emhoff impression on the show in season 50 beyond having Samberg in it.
I'm also just going to say this. I think Gaffigan, I think I said this in the Hot Take show as well. I think a big reason for Gaffigan, yes, he's big white nerdy, but the huge thing for the Gaffigan, I hope I remember this. I'm pretty sure Gaffigan is from the Midwest. I think he literally represents that demographic that Tim Walz would represent. So it also feels almost a kinship to who almost a spiritual, almost like Maya is to Kamala, Gaffigan might be to Walz. Mainly because I think that Midwest factor, U.S. Midwest factor, is a major piece in terms of background for having Gaffigan do that expression specifically. I think Mikey could have also done it. I think it's more of a throwaway. It is crazy that I was could JJ do it? That guy can really do a lot of stuff. My brain went there too, but obviously he had to stop doing Biden, so we can't just have him do everything. Swiss Army impressionist.
As your Midwest representative, actually, Tim Walz was once my governor when I lived up in Minnesota and Minneapolis. So I was very familiar before he started running and never even thought that I'd have to answer this question about who would play him on Saturday Night Live. So
that's crazy.
I had all the time in the world to start thinking, but just, it's hard when it comes down to it.
Is it true? I read in, I don't know if it was Newsweek. I read an article that apparently he was called Tampon Tim because he was instituted a law to get menstrual products added into facilities in Minnesota. It wasn't a joke name, but it was a name. Is that true?
It was more about in schools and education facilities and having non-binary bathrooms and just, I guess, at a high level.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I don't know if it was a name to make fun of him. Hold on. We don't know if it was a name to make fun of him or if it was a name to shout out to him.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I don't know which one it was. Do you know which one it was, Mike?
We'll go shout out.
Okay.
Oh, it's a shout out. Okay. Shout out to Tampon Tim.
Interesting. All right.
I never thought I would say that a day in my life, son. That's crazy.
Let's transition from Tampon Tim to Haley McLaughlin's question, who says, if you could change the order of the hosts for episodes 1 to 5, how would you change them? So if you could reorder the headliners for this season, which ones would you order them in? TJ, do you have an easy answer for this?
Well, I'll go to our guest first.
Okay.
I could dig so deep in this question, John.
Go ahead, man. You're the guest.
Well, I think what I've really taken away from this season so far is that timing, sketch placement makes the biggest, when you're watching it live, how you start off the show, whether it's the cold open, if you get a super overtly political one that's just kind of, white noise to some, viewers' ears, or going into a sketch, and John and I can both, believe it or not, John's the only other guy that I can relate to with the bridesmaid sketch, and really still not understanding or appreciating it. But that set a kind of a sour tone for the night for me, and I had to kind of rewatch the episode several times. And I think, to answer the question, I think so far the placement of the episodes has been appropriate. It's pretty well known that the first episode of the season is going to be kind of, getting the wheels underneath your feet. And Nate Bargatze, in my opinion, had the strongest episode of the season. Having him second, maybe that's like a, opposite sophomore slump of the season. So I don't know. I don't have any qualms with the episode placement so far, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I would definitely kicked off the season with Mulaney. I would have put Bargatze in the fourth slot as the one at the end of the break. So, or like right before the break, because he's easiest to write for, in my opinion. He brings in his own like writing style. They were able to do a sequel with him. So I think that like when you're already tired and hard pressed to come up with ideas at the end of a run, you want a host like that who's able to transition easily into the break. So I think that's better to do than somebody who's like pretty milquetoast and Michael Keaton, who like you just don't know like what to do with him.
Now, do you think that the Halloween sketches, Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice, Billie Eilish, kind of has that spooky tone? We've talked about that before. Do you think, removing that pre-Halloween slot and putting him somewhere else that could have taken away from some points for Michael Keaton?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like how we would reorder it, I guess, in terms of like what would make most sense for the flow of the season. But given that he was promoting Beetlejuice, I think it made sense to have him host that episode. It's just like, to me, like, yeah, I think it would have made more sense in terms of us coming off a break, like feeling really good about an episode if Bargatze hosted this last one. But this is my 2 cents on it.
I'm surprised by that, Jonathan. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you kids, this is what you actually do. All right. So I wish I was like flipping a coin while I was saying this. No, okay. So what you do is this isn't real life. Okay, so in TJ's fantasy world, the season opener is not the crappiest season. What you do is you bring in Mulaney, you smash the door down, you bring him in, because I've heard interviews where they talk about what it's like getting back from the season. If you bring in Mulaney, there's something about it. Well, yes, there's a high show expectancy, but it also, they know him. Like he's kinfolk. He's been there several times in the past decade. So they know him. So maybe there's almost a kinship to getting back. Or maybe it's like you haven't seen your coworkers in 3 months and you're like, oh God, I got to see these people again. I don't know. Really, it's kind of a gamble, but this is my fantasy world, whatever. Chaperone, Big Shot, I still think about Dave Chappelle, Chaperone. That'll never happen. Just think about such a funny, like a doubleheader. Anyways, so like Chaperone, big musical star like of the summer. You already had Sabrina Carpenter, so you can't bring her ass back that quickly. So like clearly that's what you open. And you know why you do it? Because it's the 50th season. It doesn't matter if the 50th, like the season opener of SNL is traditionally like milquetoast. The expectations are so crazy. And like, granted, people could do what they want, but it's like all eyes are on you. And like, that's the first episode we had out the gate, son. Like, really? So you do John Mulaney first. Then you bring in Jean Smart. To be honest, I would take her off the leaderboard. Nothing against Jean Smart herself. I just would take any first-time host out of the season. Like, just get out of here. But if you have to, put her second. Actually, no. I still like Bargatze as the second. I think he just did so well. So I like where he was. Boom. So Mulaney, Bargatze, then just bring in Jean Smart if I could take her off. Still have Keaton host Halloween. I still think it works. I actually really liked it. I thought he was having a lot of fun. I think it was better than some of his older episodes that I'd watched. I haven't seen the 2015 one in a while, but his other ones I thought it was better, and I thought it felt appropriate for Halloween. Then you bring people back to the show with Ariana Grande. She is a smash episode that people forget about the insanity of the election. You don't have to make Ariana Grande do political material. You can just have people be happy, feel good, and then, I mean, look, I know some people don't like it. I still want. There feels something like story-esque about having Chappelle back. I know some people may not want that.
He's
but
not even on the board yet.
I know, but this is my fantasy world, John. Bring Chappelle back to host the election episode. I don't know, or have Harper still do it. I don't care, but like, just or Wig. I don't know.
Interesting.
John, I do have a quick question. So you said
Right.
John Mulaney as your first.
Yes,
I would have kicked off with these out of these 5. I would have kicked off the premiere with.
Do you think that with the headlines being, look at all the guest hosts we have, Dana Carvey's in the building, Andy Samberg's in the building, do you think that would have overshadowed any sort of actual quality of the host and the episode in general?
No, because honestly, I think that there's so many people who turned on the TV to watch SNL for the first time in years, decades for the premiere, just to see what SNL was going to do to start season 50. I think you wanted to come out of the gates with a banger episode of like, SNL is back. Like, we're going to have so many eyeballs on the season. You never know what's going to happen. And the fact that they had Dana and Gaffigan and Maya and Andy, like all these people in the first episode, and John Mulaney hosted a good episode that was well written and exciting, like would have been an amazing way to start the season. So I can't see it.
No, John, I think Mike has a point actually, because do you remember how long that cold open was? 13 minutes. Stand-ups have notoriously long monologues. So you have that. And then let's say you have Mulaney do a musical episode. It'd be like when Chappelle hosted the second time, where it was just like not a lot of host really happening. I feel like that's what would happen. So I think Mike has a point that it actually would like work against them.
The reason why I propose that is because I have a whole spreadsheet rundown. After the day after an episode airs, I rate it. I rate each sketch. And when Gene Smart hosted, I was feeling super high. And you know what? Well, because the cold open, I got to see Dana Carvey. I was just ecstatic. Got to see Andy Samberg. I was loving life. And as I mentioned earlier, kicking off the episode, just with all the momentum, I felt great. Even though I'm looking at the sketch rundown, I had some like 1-star sketches in there, but I felt great after the episode, and that changed my entire perspective. From the hot takes, it's my second highest ranked episode of the season so far. It's 2 out of 4.
Okay, what's number 1?
Nate.
Okay.
And then actually it's a tie for Ariana and Michael Keaton. So
yeah. And I always say this, like my opinions are not gospel. Like, it's fine. Like, people can like the premiere. So that's totally fine as well. It just, like, in my opinion, I felt like stronger about Ariana's episode for sure.
Ariana. Sorry, I love doing that.
Ariana. Ari.
No, it's a Nicki Minaj reference.
Okay. Let's take one more question from our friend Mitch Brown, who joined us at the top of the show. What legendary musical guest do you think the show will have this season, with it being the 50th? So we covered already that they've had some big names on. I'm really surprised SNL didn't bring in Eminem for one of these first few episodes. He had like a new album that dropped. He's been like a legacy musical guest that's been on the show like 7 or 8 times. For me, that felt like a no-brainer, especially maybe like Eminem and Jelly Roll for the premiere. So that's the one I was surprised about. Any thoughts from you, Mike, about any music you want to see this season from the history of the show?
Yeah, I had a whole list written out before the season started of, bands I'd like to see, bands I actually think we'll see. If we're really going to play to SNL's legacy, we'd have like an Arcade Fire in there. We'd have, Paul Simon would make an appearance. Is Paul McCartney going to come back? The Pauls, right? Lauren's got to bring the Pauls in. Maybe we'll wait for the 50th actual celebration before we see those legacy figures. Foo Fighters, probably not going to happen. I don't know. But I think
just on the show. No, that was Coldplay.
I say that same thing about Billie Eilish and Ariana every year, but
Foo Fighters were on last year with Nate Bargatze, which is where the confusion might come from.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
So I do think that there's a lot to draw from as far as musical guests that are still relevant, still alive, and still around and playing and selling out shows. I'm still expecting a Taylor Swift appearance at some point, but
yeah, me too. I would expect that she does show up for something at some point, but I guess we'll see. I know, and I'd be curious, Travis Kelce as well at some point after the season could maybe appear on something after the NFL season. So we'll keep an eye out for that. TJ, any thoughts on musical guests for this season? Any legacy ones you want to see?
Oh, absolutely. I guess not legacy. I'm such a big fan of like Lizzo's performances on the show, especially them having paired her with the Eddie Murphy episode. Like I think that was her first episode. And it felt like that was just a legendary show to like attach her to, and especially her coming in to fill. I think she filled in pretty last minute for, I can't remember who the artist was, but she filled in for somebody very last minute and did twice in a year. Um, you know who I don't think people are thinking about as much, but I just really enjoyed her. Not my typical style, but just thought she was great. Brandy Carlisle.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think would
that'd be a
be
good
an
one.
interesting, if we're thinking about like people who might have even only done the show once, but we want to maybe bring them back. I think she could be like really interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
Lizzo filled in for
yeah.
the yeah yeahs.
Yes, and I don't think they ever fulfilled their replacement. I think them and Charlie XCX were a couple other canceled acts that I don't think ended up back on the show. That's
Definitely.
besides the point. But
Okay.
yeah, Lizzo is like a big one for me. Brandy Carlisle. Oh, we already had Billie Eilish, so she was great. There's like a million different like musical
Yeah, I'm
artists.
excited to see what they'll do.
Yeah.
Like they could be creative and stuff like that. So
I
yeah.
still think Weird Al deserves to get a spot on SNL. Just saying.
Okay.
I'm always
All
surprised that he hasn't been on the show. Like it always like surprises
Yeah,
me.
it feels like
But I
something
guess
that would happen.
is it too campy to like have him on? You know.
Yeah. Well, Mike, any other thoughts on season 50 so far?
I mean, right now I gotta say I like how it started. I'm genuinely curious how post-election SNL season 50 is going to be, how it's going to feel. Right now, it feels like they are, tapping appropriately into legacy cast members coming in and guest appearances, while also trying to make sure that they're giving current cast, new cast, the right platform to succeed and to rise. So I have to commend them on, I guess, how they've been balancing it. I know before the season started, everyone has been making predictions about, every week's going to be a different former cast member or five-timer or whatever. And yeah, for us diehards, that would be like a dream come true. But I think that this is really the way to go about it right now, how they're doing it.
Yeah,
I do have a question that one question
Sure.
I brought. How do you guys think Punky and Chloe Trost would have fared in the season so far? I guess all else equal with all the sketches and how they've played out so far.
I
Yeah.
think.
Go ahead, TJ.
Oh no, go ahead, John. I always speak.
You're good. The Punky, I believe, would be interesting to see what she would have done post-election. I don't know that there would be a lot of room for her pre-election, but I still think that there was untapped potential there from Punky. I always saw Punky as a Tracy Morgan type, where if they just let Punky be herself on the show and shine through the things that she did, I think that she would have been an absolute fan favorite and people would have loved her. And I think that there'd be more room to do that post-election. So that's my thing about her. Chloe Trost, again, like she's one of those that I think we're going to look back on when she goes off to have an amazingly successful career as a what could have been situation on the show. She's extremely talented. She's one of the better prospects they've had in years on the show. And like, I don't know, to me, like if you were ever going to do some sort of Chris Parnell situation where you're going to bring someone back, it's the way to do it. I would bring her back at some point, but yeah, no, I would have loved to see what she could have done. It's a very unfortunate one. I'm really hoping that we can have Punky and Chloe on our show at some point this season.
I do agree with you what you said about like Punky. I guess Punky makes me think of Leslie Jones a little bit more in terms of like just such a unique perspective that like adds something just incredible, kind of like a Sarah Sherman a little bit too, where it's like they just add something that's so much like them that only like they can add, and is much. And I know Punky said that she just wasn't going to be happy doing it. Actually, John, can you correct me? I know in interviews Punky said that like she didn't want to do it anymore. Was it true that she was asked back and she declined versus not being asked back?
She told me that it was a mutual decision and that wasn't like media speak. Like I just think that there was a conversation that was had about like, at this point in your career, do you want to keep doing this? Are you happy doesn't make sense. And I think for her, she just felt like now she's developing other opportunities. I think that Lauren and Broadway Video are had some sort of commitments to her to work on other projects. So I think for her, she felt like she opened up a path. She built a good following and a base, and I think she's gonna do her thing.
Yeah. And okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me. For me, it felt like if she would have done another season, like exactly as John said, we wouldn't have seen her a bunch. Sorry, just side thought. It is also kind of crazy that the 50th season is also like this huge presidential election year too. Isn't that just it's just the craziest, like the odds of that is insane. Like I don't think we're thinking about that like because then you also get like some of what SNL is best known for in the political stuff too. Like which is also just like crazy. So
how are you just realizing this?
Because man, I don't know. Sometimes I talk. John, if it's not clear from podcasts with me for almost 4 years, I talk before I think. Anyways, getting back to Punky, I think it's like I honestly think she would have had another year of like a few really good things. I don't know if she would have had such the hot streak that she had at the beginning of last season. So I think maybe it was like good for her and herself for her health. Sorry, for her. Chloe Trost for me made me feel like I did with like Aristotle Atari, but after like having some time away from Aristotle, I understood that decision. Chloe Trost, however, I think I even understood Aristotle's decision at the time, but I just didn't like it. Chloe Trost's, and I didn't listen to a lot of the By the Number show at the time, so I don't know if it was a screen time thing, but that one baffled me more. Aristotle, I understood because we saw a through line. Chloe,
I think we need to hear from Chloe. That's the thing, is that like getting to hear from Aristotle was extremely insightful just to hear his perspective on it. Because when these things happen, there's like everyone has an opinion on SNL, so there's a million rumors about like what could have been or what happened behind the scenes, all that stuff. I think that Chloe needs to talk about it.
So all I'm saying is it felt like a surprise.
Yeah,
it felt like a surprise.
Yeah, and I think we'll hopefully give her that opportunity, and hopefully she'll take it. So I look forward to that one day when she's willing to share her experience and get into those reasons. But until then, more speculation than anything else. And she certainly missed on the show right now, and love to have her
absolutely
being here. Mike, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Seriously, man, great to get to talk to you. Appreciate you being a part of our community and calling in and being the closer for tonight's special feedback show.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, TJ. It's nice to meet you guys, and thanks for the chat, for sticking around, for our listeners, and for putting up with me with my little dolls here while I was.
I got those guys up here too, so they're right over there. Yeah.
Can't remember which listener brought it on earlier, so I didn't.
Deej.
Yeah. I got a few more, but I'm not gonna.
We love Deej.
Bombard you with all the other ones.
Incredible. All right, Mike. Well, enjoy the next few episodes. Looking forward to chatting with you again on the show soon.
Yeah, and good luck with the rest of season 50 if I don't talk to you before then.
Thanks, Mike. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, TJ, we did it.
Whew.
We did it. What an incredible journey. Thank you for co-hosting and flying the plane when I left for a little bit. So I appreciate you. It's been a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, anytime, man. I got your back.
Yeah, 100%. So what about you? Any other thoughts on season 50 that you want to share with the rest of the audience while we wrap up the show?
No, I think sometimes like my thoughts can be a little homogenous with the group. So like, I think I'm just excited for another episode. And I know it's controversial, but I do want Chappelle to host.
It's okay, you're allowed that opinion.
I'm very comfortable with it. Like, I just understand like other people's like thoughts, and I get that too. But yeah, it's really nice because my shout out to my partner Heather. I've gotten her into the show now too, and wasn't something she like because of this podcast. I've started like watching live and like staying up with thanks to Peacock, and now even when Heather and I aren't together, because we're in a long distance relationship, when she's not with me, she's like staying up and like watching the show, and like we're like texting each other about it, and it's just this thing I've been sharing with my friends, and it's just I'm just so glad to have SNL and this podcast in my life, because it's just given like a new love, a new passion, a new community. And so I'm just really thankful to all the listeners for taking the time to come and talk to us, especially during John's technical difficulty and his massive failures. But no, I'm just, but I just want to say I love doing this. I love being here. I love the people I've gotten to meet, and I'm just, always glad to get to do the show.
I love having you here. And seriously, when I don't talk about this too much, but when I was when I went to SNL the last couple of years and got to talk to some of the cast members and really like get to know them as people beyond just an interview or sometimes for them on the show, like everything can feel super negative when people are evaluating their sketches. Like usually the things that they end up seeing are like, oh, this person sucks, or like, they're not funny and all of this stuff. And, I tell them, one of the best things about getting to do this job is that there are really nice, intelligent SNL fans from around the world who just want to have friends to talk about the show with. And like, to me, SNL is a show that is like meant to be watched with other people. It's something that we can all like have inside jokes about, laugh about. And there's never a better season to do this because there's so many things going on that getting to talk to all of you about this is the absolute honor of my life. So I've had so much fun being here with you, TJ, and everybody else who called in tonight. I can't wait to keep this. Is the bar has been set for feedback shows, so we're gonna have to keep it going all season.
I'd love to do another one, honestly. Like I'd love to do another one. This is really wonderful talking to our listeners, and I really enjoy kind of seeing their thoughts about the show and their thoughts about us. This is very fun. I'd love to do this again.
We'll definitely have you back on it. And if you are listening and you're thinking about calling in or wanting to be a part of this, you're welcome to. We open this up to anybody. So you can go to patreon.com/the SNL network, join us on Patreon, register for our next show, and then come on in here. We also have on Patreon an exclusive podcast just for you every single week where we break down sort of NFL film style, a sketch where we talk about all of the details about it. Was it good when this person entered the sketch? Did it make it worse? Did it make it better? What were other thoughts? So those are really fun things that are happening on the Patron feed. On the main feed here, now we can close the book on these first 4 episodes and look forward to what we have coming up this week on Saturday night with John Mulaney and musical guest Chapel Rowan. So we will be back here on Saturday right after the episode for the Hot Take Show, Monday for the Roundtable, and then next Wednesday for the By the Numbers show to break down everything from that one. We have some really fun content planned for this week with John Mulaney. So please follow us on social media at the SNL Network, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X, and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so you get those notifications when we go live and you never miss any show that we have here. And telling you guys first, for those who love everything you need to know about SNL, our video series that we've been putting out on an almost every week basis from the summer all the way till now, episode 16 will be released a week from Thursday. That will be November 7th. So if you're looking for episode 16, another fun season to talk about, that will be coming out a week from Thursday. So 10 days from now. Looking forward to it. TJ, anything you would like to plug to our audience?
I have a 15-ish minute podcast that I did about 150 episodes of. If you want to hear me just talking to some friends about very very quick take topics for about 15 minutes at a time, you can find us at Rabbit Trail. That's RABID. Again, that's Rabbit Trail. You can find us also at We Are Rabbit Trail on the socials. If you'd like to talk to me either about this recent season of My Hero Academia or how garbage this current season of Love is Blind is right now, feel free to reach out to me at King Compliment on Instagram.
Absolutely. Thanks to latenighter.com for being our presenting partner for the show tonight. And thanks to everybody in the chat for such a lively chat all night long. So great. And everybody who joined us on the show. Thanks to TJ. My name is Jon Schneider from the Saturday Night Network. And we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.